Okay, good morning. It is May 13th, Thursday, May 13th, open session. And just a reminder, on Tuesday in the afternoon, we will have another open session dealing with our budget. First and foremost, appreciate the community's thoughts and insight the other night, and we will take everything that was shared and continue to be shared under consultation and discussion as we continue our budget. Before open session, as always, let's stand for Pledge of Allegiance and then take a moment of silence afterwards.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, we have a handful of things to do for Priority Carol. Let's go around the room first, and then we'll hit some of the highlights with Priority Carol with some guests that will be joining us. So let's start with Commissioner Wance.
What, I get to start today?
You get to start. You are
Wow.
number one.
Good
Take
morning.
the lead. District
What?
1. Take the lead.
Take the lead. Yeah, well, okay. Good morning, everyone. Just real brief. I'm going to be brief this morning. So there you go. Two things I want to point out this week. It's National Hospital Week, and you'll hear more about that shortly, along with something else. There's a week and a day for everything. You got to keep track of all that. So, and yesterday was actually National School Nurse Day. So I happen to be very close to a school nurse. So I know the importance of what they bring to the table and bring to our youth. And, there are jurisdictions that don't have a school nurse in every school. But we in Carroll are lucky that we do. And they're a very important part of the education system. So I want to give a shout out to them. And you might hit this one, Dick, and I don't want to take your thunder, but we've been losing a lot of prominent folks in Carroll here lately. And I want to give thoughts, condolences to the family of Nevin Tasto, who I got to know several years ago. And what an incredible guy. And I know that you're going to expand on that, Dick, because you've known him longer than I have. So I'll turn that over to you. But I just want to give my sympathies to his family. Another pillar of Carroll County that has left us far too soon. So I've got other stuff, but we'll wait till we get to that. So I'll pass it off.
Okay,
Thank
Commissioner
you.
Weaver.
Yeah, you alluded to losing Nevin Tasto up in that northern part of the county. I guess I've known Nevin since we were 14 years of age. Or I was anyway. He was a few years older, but he was one of those people who never said a mean word about anyone. If you talked to him, you were the most important person in every conversation he ever had, no matter who it was, when it was. You were very important to him. And I think he was in the paper. They alluded to him as a good old boy. And he was. He just lived that lifestyle. His whole family's that way. They're just really super nice people. He helped tens of thousands of people throughout his lifetime, and really made a living as an auctioneer. But he was phenomenal, and the people he met, probably one of the most honest people, if not the most honest person I've ever known. And it was a shame to see he passed away at a young age. But Steve, I appreciate your recognizing the fact that he was such a pillar of the community. And I just wish everybody had his demeanor in the way they handled things. The fact that he never, he would help, but he never criticized anyone for anything. And there's something to be said for that. And admired him greatly for what he did. And to his family, continue the work that he started, because he has a tremendous family and extended family, and they had the same mentality he did. And to his wife, I wish her the best here. And she is basically the same as Nevin, just a fantastic person. So thank you.
Well said. Commissioner Frazier.
Thank you. I have to say, I bought a lot of things from Nevin over the years through the auctions. And he always had a smile on his face. Never gave me a discount, but he always had a smile on his face.
Did you buy the back end of the pig? That's another story. Never mind. The front end. The front
Did you
end.
buy the kosher pig?
That's another story for another day.
All right. And I want to say, this past week, they had the Westminster Flower and Jazz Festival. Now, it wasn't on Main Street. It was on a parking lot beside the parking garage. Didn't have food vendors there, but they had it. Pretty well attended in the morning. I went twice because I told my wife I was going in the morning. She didn't want to go. When I get back, she says, well, why don't we go? I've already been there, but okay. So a couple of hours later, went back again. So it's pretty well attended. I'm just happy that they had it. They had,
I know that's not a complaint, though, that you went twice.
Say it again.
That's not a complaint that you went
No, it's not. No. I enjoy walking around with my wife the second time. I didn't mean, but no, we had it. It's a step forward. It's another step out of the COVID thing. Also, I believe all the municipal elections are over by this time. I believe they are. I want to congratulate all the winners. And if you didn't win, but you ran, I want to thank you for that, because it takes a lot to put yourself out there to run. So I do appreciate that. We also had a Transit Advisory Council meeting. Chris Swan was there, talked about improving the website for Transit Advisory Council. Great. It's great to have an expert there to talk about this stuff, because, you look at this thing and it doesn't look great, but we have someone here that actually knows how to make it better. Great job, Chris. Also talked about ridership. Ridership on the on-demand service is actually up 66% from what it was a year ago at this point. So it's going back up. Now, ridership on the Trailblazer routes are still down about 10%, but you have to remember also that, like Carroll Community College, a lot of doctor's offices and so forth, they're not fully opened yet, and that's where a lot of the ridership came from. But it is improving, so that's another good thing. One last thing on May 24th. Remember what month we're in? May 24th. It's a Monday. There's a bike ride that I'll be participating in. Starts at the race pace in Westminster, goes to Union Bridge and back. I originally told it was going to be a 20-mile ride, so I've been trying to get in shape for it, but now it's like it's a 24-mile ride. I don't know, but I'm going to give it a try. But anyway, registration's open. Call Carroll County Rec Department to try to register, and it's free if you want to get a bike ride in on that morning. You get to beat me in the bike ride. It's something to look forward to. And that's all I have.
Okay, thanks. Commissioner Boucher.
Morning, gentlemen. Commissioner Frazier, I appreciate you advocating public health and getting out and exercising. That's a wonderful thing, especially as we become epic citizens. I want to add to the praise of school nurses that Commissioner Wanson brought up. I remember when I was in high school, I had a broken nose, and that school nurse stopped the bleeding, set my nose up straight, got me off to the hospital. I'll never forget her help. She was very reassuring. And over this pandemic, they've been under a lot of stress, so we praise everything they've done. I want to add to Commissioner Frazier's recognition. Before we get into the wetlands, I just want to real quick recognize Mayor-elect Becker in Westminster. She made a historical accomplishment this week, being the first female elected to Westminster mayor, along with congratulating Councilman-elect Huff. He served on our Planning and Zoning Commission for years, so he's a wonderful addition. And I wish all the people across the board and all those municipalities who won and ran welcome aboard, and we look forward to serving and working with you in their capacity as county officials. Now, on the Hoshawa, we had a tour this week. If Mr. Swam can bring up the photos, there we go. That is Director Daggett and I out at Hoshawa Lake. I don't know if it's much of a lake, more like a pond to me, but it's absolutely gorgeous out there. He gave me a tour of the walkway. We're getting grant funding to replace the walkways, which have deteriorated. Once I went there and examined it and see what was going on, we do have a major liability of boards missing, popping up, part of the walkway sinking into the marsh. It's absolutely gorgeous out there. And during our tour, we've seen turtles, we've seen a blue herring, we've seen frogs, geese. It's so beautiful out there. There you go. I decided to do the dude move since the dude was filming us. It's an absolutely wonderful resource we have out there in the county. A lot of people don't know about. I believe it might be in Commissioner Wance's district. If so, I ventured up there if I had his permission, had a wonderful day, and I advise as many people as possible get out and utilize all the assets we have in this county. So thank you very much.
Okay, and just add a couple things. The governor did speak yesterday. We do have a press release that's going out today, sharing his directives on how we're moving forward. The reason we are moving forward is because we are doing what's right. The vaccinations, the masks, and appropriate actions and activities associated with the pandemic. So I applaud our Carroll County community by doing what's right, and we will get out of this and get to levels of normalcy. We're moving in that direction. So continue to do the right thing and look forward to progressing as time moves on. This weekend, I saw, I guess it was on national news, there were 9 multiple shootings in like a 24-hour period on like Saturday to Sunday. It's across the country, and it's crazy. This week is National Police Week, May 9th through 15th. The best 2 words you can say are thank you. The sheriff and his team, along with the municipalities and the police departments within Carroll County, are just doing a great job, and people are here because of the safety and security that they provide, and the quality of life that they allow us to have by doing the right things. So you see someone in uniform, whether it's an SRO in the schools, whether it's somebody on the streets, just, I encourage you to say thank you. And from me to them and to the sheriff, thank you so much for all that you're doing. Now let's move on. And Commissioner Wance, I'd like you to take the lead on this. There's a joint proclamation, and I believe Garrett Hoover, who is the president of the Carroll Hospital Center, along with Bob McCoy, should also be available. I see Bob. Do I see Garrett? Mr. Hoover. Do we know if he's on?
Commissioner,
Yes.
I'd like to check and see if one of these callers is him, just real quick, if you don't mind.
I don't mind.
We have 3 callers online. Are any of you, Mr. Garrett Hoover? Callers? Or anyone involved with this proclamation? Apparently not.
Celine Mowry? No?
I don't see her either, no. I did send him an invitation yesterday.
Okay, well, let's move forward with the proclamation. I appreciate Commissioner Wance if you take the lead on this.
Yeah, I was just talking to Garrett.
Yeah.
So, anyway, if I look like Commissioner Weaver for the next couple minutes, he, as he would say, it's a big improvement. As only he would say. By the way, I missed one thing for Priority Carroll with this this gas shortage or whatever they are calling it.
The perception of a gas shortage.
People need to simmer down a little bit, and I'm coming at it from a public safety standpoint. Gasoline is only allowed to be put in your vehicle or an approved container. So the state fire marshal actually had to put a statement out because people were putting it in Tupperware containers and everything else. I mean, come on. People just need to calm down. It's going to be back to normal by the end of the week. So that's actually tomorrow or by the weekend at the latest. So you're putting first responders in harm's way if you've got gasoline in containers in your vehicle when you get into an accident somewhere. So common sense, people, remember that.
Excuse me,
I
before you,
apologize. Go ahead.
one sec. So the hospital's contacted us. Unfortunately, something's come up and is to detain them from joining us today. But
Okay. Okay.
they apologize and would
Yep.
like us to go
All
forward.
right, that's fine.
Thanks.
Okay. So anyway, you interrupted my thunder about gasoline. Come on, Wyndham. Anyway, I was on a roll. Anyway, folks, get the word out. Approved containers in your vehicle only. Okay, now back to get looking like Weaver. Good? Good. Okay. All right, we've got a proclamation here. This is actually National Hospital Week. It's also EMS Week, and we've got a proclamation, and I'm going to read it right now. EMS Week to designate the week of May 16th through the 22nd as Emergency Medical Services Week. Emergency Medical Services is a vital public service in Carroll. The members of EMS teams are ready to provide life-saving care to those in need 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. And access to quality emergency care dramatically improves the survival and recovery rate of those who experience sudden illness or injury. Emergency Medical Services has grown up to fill a gap by providing important out-of-hospital care, including preventative medicine, follow-up care, and access to telemedicine. The EMS system consists of first responders, EMTs, paramedics, dispatchers, firefighters, police officers, educators, administrators, pre-hospital nurses, emergency physicians, trained members of the public, and other out-of-hospital medical care providers. The members of EMS teams, whether career or volunteer, engage in thousands of hours of specialized training and continuing education to enhance their life-saving skills. So it is appropriate to recognize the value and accomplishments of EMS providers by designating Emergency Medical Services Week, and that's just what we have done with this proclamation. The five of us have signed this, along with the president and COO of Carroll Hospital, and that is Mr. Garrett Hoover. So unless you've been under a rock for the last 6.5 years, you all know how I am with EMS. Thank you, Dick. I appreciate that. Now I'll go back to not being able to see. This is something that I've been involved in since the late 70s, and I think it's very important to recognize all the folks around here that do this for us. And it's also important to recognize the fact that we have a great partner with LifeBridge Health. Carroll Hospital Center is amazing. They've been amazing over the last 13, 14 months with this pandemic. And also to realize that not only do we have the LifeBridge family, but we've got the University of Maryland family. We have the best trauma system in the world right next door to us. We are so lucky to be living in the Delmarva area that we have access to that, and countless lives have been saved. And I applaud and appreciate my colleagues helping with making sure that we are providing funding for education for the shock trauma system moving forward in beginning with the FY22 budget. So to everyone out there on ambulances every single day and on fire engines and in nurses and hospitals, thank you so very much for all that you do for us. And this proclamation
may add,
right here. So,
Commissioner Winston, I had the privilege of interviewing a person for a board and commission here, and he moved back from Delaware because of our medical system here.
yeah, he
He
did. Yep.
remember right along the lines of what you're saying.
Yeah. So, yep. So it's amazing what we have right here, and we're very lucky to have it, the resources that we have. So
Okay.
thank you to everyone. You want me to turn it over to
Yeah, please.
this dude on here named McCoy? Because we've seen him a little bit here in the last few months.
Our
So
director.
Director McCoy, good morning. And you're muted.
Good morning, everyone. I appreciate being able to join you. I just want to convey also my congratulations, my thank you, and my respect for all of our EMS providers and our healthcare partners area. I hope everyone recognizes the efforts of our emergency medical services providers next week during EMS week. So I appreciate it.
Okay, thank you.
I think
Any,
I think Scott's on here too,
is he, Scott?
Yeah.
Campbell.
because I think we've got something coming up with
We do.
him next. So
Scott, would you like to, share some words?
There he
Well,
is.
sure. Thank you, Commissioners. Unexpected. And the first thing I'm going to say, I think the recognition is extremely well-deserved. As some of you know, I've spent basically most of my adult life in the volunteer side on it. So I've seen it from unfortunately from both sides, from needing the service, also providing the service. So I can't say enough other than thank you. And it's critically, critically important. And I think the recognition is very well deserved. So thank you for the opportunity to say a couple words.
Absolutely. And I think this is a good, strong theme going from the National Police Week, as discussed earlier, into this. It is those wearing the red and blue and also those serving in our ambulances and, in the hospitals that give that selfless service, to make us who we are. So with that, does anybody have any comments they want to share at this time? Let's move on. Scott, I believe you have a recognition that you want to provide. Mr. Campbell?
Thank you, commissioners. And actually, this is a perfect segue. As Commissioner Wayne said, I believe you mentioned that our dispatchers are part of that EMS system. They are a critically important part, as you will hear in just a couple of minutes. So, commissioners, thank you for the opportunity to join you today. And I have to say, it's our distinct pleasure to be here because we're here to recognize the efforts as one of the many dedicated women and men that staff our emergency communications center, the 911 center, as is commonly referred to 24/7, 365. Now, I firmly believe, although everything that these women and men do is very important, sometimes an incident will occur that seems to rise above that normal level that is just exemplifies just how critically important their efforts can be at sometimes. And it's a fact. It's often a matter of life versus death. So today we're here to recognize one of our dedicated employees, Miss Donna Althoff, for her unwavering efforts during one such incident. Now, it goes without saying that Miss Althoff is well respected by all her peers, folks that she volunteers with, etc., and is clearly one of our hardworking professionals that help staff the 911 center. And candidly, we are both thankful and very fortunate to have her as part of our team. So, commissioners, at this time, instead of getting into the detail, I would like to see we also have some other folks with us that are joining us. I think they're under the title Ashley Bergen. I'd like to turn things over to Mr. Jack Brown and Miss Ashley Bergen. Jack is the emergency communications manager, and Ashley is one of our emergency communications assistant managers. And they're going to introduce some special guests we have and then give you some details of exactly why we recognize Miss Althoff. So with that, commissioners, if I can yield to Ashley, Jack, and their guests.
Good morning, commissioners. On the morning of March 11th, emergency communications specialist Donna Althoff answered a 911 call from Mr. Owens, who we have here with us today. He stated his wife was not responding and not breathing. By using the emergency medical protocols that our staff are trained in, ECS Althoff was able to immediately get help started and assist Mr. Owens with performing CPR on his wife. These quick actions show the exemplary work that our communications staff perform every day. As the first responders, we don't often know the outcome of a call and are very grateful for Mr. Owens reaching out to us and letting us know the immense impact ECS Althoff had that day. So with us today, we have Mr. Owens and Tammy, who, thanks to the dedicated work of Mr. Owens and ECS Althoff, Tammy gets to be here with us today. And Jack Brown, real quick, is gonna give Ms. Althoff an award for her actions that day.
I'm sure it's hard to see with the through the camera. We'll be presenting Donna Althoff with the in recognition of your dedication and commitment while performing your duties on March 11th, with the thanks and appreciation of all that live, work, and visit Carroll County, Maryland. And I'll be presenting this to Ms. Althoff.
Thank you.
Now, commissioners, if I may, I would interject something that I think just adds to how impressive this is. Just a side story. I had the pleasure of being a prior customer of Lamb Awards and Engraving here in Westminster. I've made my fire service days. So I was aware of their offerings and the kind of quality work they did. So I reached out to them in search of an appropriate award for Ms. Althoff. And I have to share, out of sheer dumb luck on my behalf, none other than the owner himself, Mr. John Lamb, answered the phone when I called. And candidly, the instant that Mr. Lamb learned why I was calling, he insisted he was going to provide that award at no cost to us. I shared with the gentleman when he made the offer that we could not accept, the very generous offer, but we just couldn't accept something like that. And he said, "You're not asking for it. I'm offering. I insist." So to be quite candid, that award was not only designed by, but provided gratis by Mr. John Lamb, who is obviously a very important member of the community, both personally as well as a member of the business community here in Carroll. So I apologize, commissioners, but I just thought that that warranted a public acknowledgement and a thank you for his generosity. We didn't ask for anything. He extended that as just another example of the kind of generosity and recognition of the folks that we're pleased to work with. So thank you.
No, Scott, thank you. And thank you for adding that piece as well. Again, we got an awesome community. Let's go around if anybody has any comments they'd like to share. Commissioner
Well,
Lance?
the whole story brings tears to my eyes. And Donna, to you, I've known you for quite a while. Thank you so much for all that you do over there. You're an amazing individual, just like all the folks that you work with over there. So thank you. And Mr. Owings, well done. I can tell you, from being on both sides of this giving, and I also was a dispatcher for about 12 years here in Carroll. To be blunt, it ain't easy listening to instructions over the phone and providing that kind of technique. And so to you also, thank you for what you have accomplished here. And it's great to see that young lady standing beside you that was able to visit here today. So thank you. Thank you all so very much. This is what EMS and the system is all about. The three of you standing there. Thank you very much.
Well said. Commissioner Weaver?
Donna, a fantastic job. I can't even imagine going through that and doing what you do in those situations. So a great deal of admiration for what you do and how you did that. But as I said, I have no background in that, but boy, to talk through something like that is amazing. So thank you.
Yep. Commissioner Frazier?
Donna,
Can we get her a raise?
We're working on that, Mr. Owings. We're working on it.
Donna, I just want to say thanks for what you do, but I also want to say the system works. The 911 system and emergency dispatches, it works. That's why I think we have stories like this. If we didn't have this up and running, it would just be tragic outcomes. So thank you very much for what you do, and thanks for this. I can't thank the system, but the system works, and that's what I guess the keynote from this takeaway is. The takeaway for this is.
Yeah, very well said. Commissioner Boucher?
Mr. Owens, I appreciate the humor. We're also blessed and we deal with a lot of stress, especially that department. So this team coming together and making this happen is a wonderful blessing. It's a testament to the resources and the people we have working 24/7, as Director Campbell has stated. And as someone who's called 911 before, I know how desperate it is and helpless you feel. And to have those reassuring professional voices at the other end defuses things. And they start talking to you, you can realize real quickly their training kicks in, training. I hear it all the time, and it works. And those voices on the other end calm you down and get you moving in the right direction. So they are a blessing. I'm very grateful to everyone over there and everything they do. And bless you and your family with many more years together. Take care.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I think, I shared, we should, as a community, have confidence in the system. As Commissioner Frazier said, it works. The three words I heard you share, Scott, is perform your duties. And that's really cool. It's not above and beyond, it's performing your duties. So that is really what it's all about. And we should all have confidence that they know how, your team knows how to perform their duties. So thank you. And as Commissioner Wentz shared, it's really nice seeing that couple standing right there and for many more years to come. So thanks.
Thank you, Commissioner. Thank you very much.
Okay. Ashley, did you have anything you want to share, or they're gone? I guess not. That's okay. Okay, let's move on to Celebrating America. We got Jeff Casway coming on, I believe. There you are. And you want to talk about that lovely young lady, Miss Natalie, in front of you?
If I got a setup here, if you will.
Oh, you do?
Yep, I'll set it
Go
up.
for it.
I'll set the
All right.
stage and then we'll go from there.
Okay.
Is that a pink shirt, Casting Way? Just check.
Yes, it is, just for you.
Yeah, okay. Well, I've often said that real men do wear pink. Anyway, National History Day winner, Natalie Castingway won the Celebrating America Commissioner's Prize for local National History Day competition held in March 2021. Ed, you and I have been to the Homestead a couple times, and so were you, Dennis. You were up there too. But I used to go up there with another fella that used to have your seat and celebrate National History Day. So hopefully we can get back to that next year
Looking forward
because
to it.
that's a great event. And a shout out to our own Vivian Daly for making
Absolutely.
sure that all that works because she does an amazing job. National History Day is a nationwide program held annually that involves more than 500,000 students. There are local, state, and national competitions. It provides an excellent opportunity to develop primary and secondary research skills. Students choose a historical topic related to that year's specific theme, which is communication in history. Presentations may take the form of a paper, exhibit, performance, documentary, or website. The 2021 National History Day theme was, as I said, communication in history, the key to understanding. So Natalie won the award, the Carroll County Commissioner Award. The criteria for that award for entries, the criteria is for entries whose research and presentation celebrates the contributions of a local individual, group, or organization, or encourages a greater understanding of American history and historically significant people, events, and places, particularly those within Carroll and or the state of Maryland. And Natalie's project was an individual website, and her topic was Union Mills Homestead Rural Free Delivery. So congratulations to Natalie. I know the geek that Boucher is about history, which I must say I'm kind of right there with him. History is incredibly important. And for these young people to be able to take these kind of themes and turn them into these projects are amazing. So Natalie, well done. I'm sure that you got all of your talent from your mother.
So Natalie, can you share with us, Natalie, can you share with us why you selected that topic and some of the highlights?
I chose the project because I really enjoy learning and researching more about Union Mills because I first started learning about it in 3rd grade when we read a book about Union Mills. And so I've always been interested, and I also volunteer there. So I wanted to do a History Day project on Union Mills.
Was there something that you found out that you didn't know before in doing the project?
Yeah, it was actually one of the first rural free deliveries in the country, and it's like they did kind of like a trial in 1896, and then it officially began on December 20th of 1899.
Wow. Sounds like you got a lot of information, and really appreciate the work you did. Congratulations from all of us in receiving this award. Is there something else others would like to share? Commissioner Weaver?
I just think this
Well,
is
you were there in 1896, weren't you?
not quite,
Okay.
not quite.
It's a year later. You're off by a year.
Now they don't pay attention to these guys. But look, I commend you on writing your paper, and I hope the school recognizes the accomplishments you've done, and I hope your grade in history went way up. It probably was already there, but I really commend you for writing this, and especially with Union Mills and where we are in Carroll County. So keep up the good work. And what's going to be your major in college?
I'm not sure.
Okay.
You got a few years to go.
Yeah. Well, I got a few years to go, but it's never too young to start thinking about it. So good luck to you. And as I think Commissioner Wentz alluded to, your mother had a great influence on you. So thank you.
Commissioner Frazier.
I just want to say congratulations. Great job. I know you're somewhat disappointed that you had to get the certificate from your father instead of one of the commissioners, because that's usually the highlight if you get it from the commissioner. But great job, and keep up the good work.
Okay, Commissioner Boucher.
Just casting away. We're all very proud of you, but your father, I'm sure, is ecstatically proud of you. We love working with your father. He's very intelligent, so obviously he's passed that along to you. And I believe you'll figure out real quickly that those of us who understand history can navigate the future. So your understanding history at a young age is going to give you a leg up on a lot of your competitors out there. And if you keep it up, maybe one day you can help run the county government like your father. So thank you very much for all your hard work. It pays off.
Okay, and once again, thank you very much, Natalie, and congratulations for the hard work that you put into this project. So, okay. Let's move on to the meat of our open session, and I believe we should have Ms. Eisenberg and Price come on for an introduction and request to go to public hearing on water and sewer in the spring amendment. Is that correct?
Actually, it is the public hearing this morning.
Oh, it is the public hearing this morning.
Yeah, we
It's
had
the second time I've done this.
Yeah.
Okay, Mr. Burke.
Good morning, Commissioners. The Environment article requires you to have a public hearing when you make any amendments to our water and sewer master plan, and it's spring, so it's time for the spring amendments to the water and sewer master plan. So, you advertised the notice of public hearing in the Carroll County Times on April 29th and May 6th of this year. With us, as you said, our Director of Planning, Linda Eisenberg, and Price Wagner from the Department of Planning. They're here to give you a brief introduction of the proposed amendments and to take any questions you may have.
All right, good morning, Commissioners. As Mr. Burke said, Price Wagner, this morning we'll be giving you a presentation just to refresh your memory on what the public hearing will be addressing today and the amendments to the 2021 water and sewer master plan. So with that, Price, if you'd like to share your screen and present the changes for today.
I appreciate it. Thank you, Linda. Yes, I've had the ability to share my screen, please. Have a brief presentation, just sort of a recap of what we talked about a couple weeks ago.
You got it.
Okay, so sort of basic what we talked about a couple weeks ago. This is the spring amendment for the 2021 spring amendment to the 2019 water and sewer master plan, working with Freedom of Sykesville water and sewer service areas, as well as the Manchester water service area. Those are the map amendments. Basically, in the Freedom area, we have 3 amendments that are being requested. 7414 Brangles Road. The owner now, he contacted me, and he is now working by himself for a little bit on this, but still wants to move forward. The owner is looking to subdivide his property, which would add 3 new lots plus his existing parcel, so, or his existing house. He would be adding 3 units to the water and sewer system, going to priority. So they'd be adding 1,000 gallons to the system. So 4 units times the 250 gallons per unit multiplier. The Bartholomew Road properties, the engineer on behalf of the property owner, they want to remove from the Freedom's priority service area due to the fact that they're looking to develop, and it's cost prohibitive for them to actually construct a pump station, which they would need to get to gravity flow, so they can actually get to gravity flow. The potential for this property is 10 units, because it is the size of the property with the BLI, 10 potential units. That would be 2,500 gallons. They actually are only going to be doing 4 units on septic. That is a update I have received. I believe I emailed that to you a couple weeks ago, but I have a slide on that showing their potential for 4 units. Obviously, being as a septic miner, they could do 7. I believe the lay of the land and the way it is looked at on the plan, you'll see 4 is about the only thing, is about all they can do. And then thirdly, site sale annexation. There are 3 properties that are looking to be they're already currently in existing. Some are split existing and future, and one is just future itself. This will make them existing and priority. And so it's just moving that allocation from the future to the priority aspect of it. So here's Bartholomew Road, the existing house, and then like I said, they're looking to potentially put in 3 additional units if they do subdivision. The existing gravity flow line is right here adjacent to the property, so it'll be relatively an easy connection. This is the Bartholomew Road property. There are lines in the vicinity. These are gravity lines. These are gravity and pressurized line. However, this is downgrade from the gravity lines, and this is the actual pump station here. So they would need to put a pump station in if they stayed on sewer to get it to this area. That is cost prohibitive for the owners. So they're looking to, again, be removed from the service area and go to no plan service.
Hey, Price, let me just pause you for a second. Would that help the water on Johnsville Ave up by the school, where the water stays, on Johnsville Ave by the sidewalk? There's usually a large amount after rains. Would this, allow for a better flow of that water, or no? There's completely.
This is a little bit further away from Johnsville Avenue.
Yeah.
So it's actually closer towards the Cleves Mill sector of the where Bartholomew Road is.
Oh, I saw the fields. I thought that was Johnsville. No, okay.
So here is the potential schematic of how they would do the subdivision of the 4 properties. I think the main reason they're only able to get 4 is you'll see an area here that's they're not able to do any additional land because they need to have a primary plus 2 secondary for septic. So this property is a lot larger because they have this area, so they need to have the ability to potentially put in the secondary. So they're looking to do just 4 units on this particular property. And then in Sykesville, this is the annexation. They're looking to annex in this portion right here. This is the petitioner is letter A. And however, when they brought this in, they're also the towns, they decided we need to bring in, they don't really know why it's split. Property B is split, might as well bring C in to make it more cohesive. So this is existing sewer as well as this. And then this will just be bringing in the second portion into priority. And then this will be, as you see, the line is already running through the actual parcel. So it'll be going from future to priority. There is the allocation demand is already calculated in our future aspect. Being zone conservation, property A is zone conservation, only 5 units are allowed to be built, and that is all they're looking to do is 5 units. So as a overall on a bigger map, Bartholomew Road is up here. This is the section of Bartholomew Road. Yes, and here's the Sykesville and Johnsville is right down in this area, but here's the section of Bartholomew Road. Here's the portion in Sykesville, and then of course, then here's the Brangles Road potential subdivision. Again, this will be adding just a little bit of, actually, it will be a negative capacity because there's 2,500 gallons coming out and potentially only 1,000 gallons going in. So we're gaining roughly potentially 1,500 gallons of against our capacity. So our total demand goes down a little bit. in the priority in future years, about 1,500 gallons. Now, for the water amendment, this is based in Manchester and the same 3 properties in the Sykesville area. The main one is 2906 Hanover Pike, and this is right across from the high school, Manchester Valley High. They have worked with the health department and in talks with the town. They're outside the town limits. The town does not serve properties outside their town limits, although there's, as you see, the line is right in front of the property. And the cost to annex in, as well as connection to water and to the sewer aspect, to the water, is cost prohibitive for the owner. We worked with the health department. The town had requested for them to be removed, and the health department did sign off back in January for them to go ahead and dig a new well. The well that's on the property now is, as my understanding, was more of a hand dug well. That's probably not the correct term, but that's what was sort of relayed to me. So they're looking to update, put a new well in so they can actually rent this property out. But it is a rental property for the owners of the property. Sort of their helping their retirement aspect. So again, just taking it out and be put into long range should, for whatever reason down the road, if the property's ever sold, then, and it ever gets annexed in, yes, they may be able to go back in sooner or later, but at this point in time, there is no plan for any of that. And they haven't had the ability to rent the property for the last year and a half, I believe. Again, here are the properties of Sykesville. Again, existing, the light blue is future, just moving everything in. So these will stay existing, and then the portion that's light blue will move to priority, so that those demands will just move from the future into priority. In the same area as you down here in the Sykesville area, which is sort of the only area that's not within priority or existing for the town. And again, the demand is just in essence showing coming from the future planning to the priority planning. So that is showing that demand moving, and is cumulative. So the future does not, those planning numbers do not move. These numbers go up a little bit, just showing that that demand is now being moved over to the priority planning section. So we've completed the updates to the water and sewer maps. We've done the calculations and the certifications of consistency by both the county and the town. We have not received any comments, physical or paper comments yet. MVP has told me yesterday they did send their comments to NDE, and they had no major concerns of this amendment. And MD and my contacts with MDE have not said anything that showed any red flags that was, they would advise us not to move forward. So at this point in time, we are looking good to, once the public hearing has been completed and closed, and the record stay open for 10 days, then the next step would be for the county commission come in front of you again to discuss, have a decision and adoption of a resolution on May 27th. And then I would forward the final copy to NDE for approval on May 28th or the following Monday, depending on the timing of things. So my staff recommendation, after we do more discussion, is move that the Board of County Commissioners, once the public hearing has commenced, close the public hearing and keep the record open for a period of 10 days.
Commissioners, do you have any questions of staff? If you have no questions, it's appropriate, Mr. President, to open the floor to any public comment that we may have.
Do we have any public comment?
Caller 1, you're unmuted. Please make your public comment. Thank you.
I don't know if I'm caller 1 or not, but this is Kelly Schaefer. Am I caller 1, Chris?
Yes, you are, Kelly. Go ahead. Thanks.
So, good morning, Commissioners. Kelly Schaefer, 73 East Main Street, Westminster, Maryland, 21157. I am calling in support of staff's recommendation, I represent Sykesville Development LLC, who is James and Karen Ross. They are the owners of property A that is shown on the staff report that Price just presented. Just as quick background, they have already initiated an annexation petition with the town, which is currently under county review. That petition requests that the zoning stay the same as it currently is, which is conservation. As Price said, that means property A has a 5-lot potential. I just wanted to briefly note that property A is owned by my client. Properties B and C on that map are under separate ownership, but are also part of the annexation petition. And the Roths and Sykesville Development LLC support staff's recommendation for all the reasons that Price stated. But I'll call out just specifically that this property has already been accounted for from a capacity standpoint and is shown half in and half out of both the town corporate limits and the water and sewer service areas. So this exercise is necessary to bring the entire property into the service area. And by my client's analysis and our engineer's analysis, this property is not suitable for well and septic. So we appreciate staff's recommendation to bring this property into the service area, which would actually allow it to have that lot potential. And we are asking that the commissioners approve the amendment as presented by staff. So if there are any questions, I'm available to answer them, but that's my brief statement. So thank you very much.
Okay, thank you, Ms. Schaefer. Any questions? Okay, any other callers?
Caller 2, you've been unmuted. Please make your public comment. Caller 2. Caller 2, please make your public comment. You have 3 minutes. All right, let's try caller 3. Caller 3, you've been unmuted. Please make your public comment and identify yourself. Caller 3, you've been unmuted.
Anybody else going to miss these virtual hearings?
It is frustrating.
Yeah, well, I'm assuming they might be on for other agenda items. Thanks, commissioners.
No, I appreciate that, Chris, but I want at least a bit of a level of confidence that they are. And that,
Callers that are online, are you here for this public hearing?
Hi, I am here.
Are you calling for this public hearing?
I was calling for the public hearing, correct?
Okay, it's your opportunity to make public comment regarding this. Please state your name.
I'm not regarding this agenda topic now. I'm waiting for the open agenda for public comment.
Oh, at the end of session. Okay, thank you. Caller 3, are you calling for public comment or for the public hearing?
I'm here for the public comment.
You're also calling at the end for the end agenda. Okay, thank you.
well, I apologize. She said public comment for this or public comment for open session?
Are you calling for public comment during open session?
Open
Okay.
session, please.
Okay, I apologize. Okay, with that said, there's no other public comments. I appreciate the work, Chris, in getting through that. Do I have a motion at this time?
I make a motion, the Board of Commissioners close the public hearing and keep the record open for a period of 10 days.
Okay, we got a motion and a second to close the public hearing, keep the record open for a period of 10 days. Any further comment? Seeing, hearing none. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, 5-0. Thank you very much, Price, for the rundown. Thank you, Ms. Linda. Let's move on to Land Resource Management, a zoning text amendment for community solar energy generating systems. We have the opportunity to discuss, deliberate, and then possibly adopt. Brenda, did you want to take this first or Jay? You tell me.
Good morning, Commissioners. I can take this.
Okay.
As you know, we're here today for you to discuss, deliberate, and possibly adopt the community solar zoning text amendment. Public hearing was held on Thursday, April 29th by the board, and the board voted to keep the record open for an additional 10 days for public comment. During that time, we received 3 written comments. One was from Leslie Elder with the Coalition for Community Solar Access. She was also a commenter during the public hearing. And the Coalition for Community Solar Access does support the amendment. We also received written comments from Carroll County Farm Bureau and the Carroll County Agricultural Commission, both of which oppose the amendment. The ordinance that you have before you today reflects 2 minor changes, or maybe not so minor, but 2 additions since the public hearing. The first is at section N on the amendment, and that reflects Commissioner Weaver's request to add language prohibiting the use of eminent domain to cross a adjoining property with the infrastructure needed for community solar. And the second is at section E, subsection D, and that was in addition to the easement requirement that would require that if an easement's required, it would only be on piece that was 5 acres or greater. So if somebody only has, 1 or 2 acres left after the solar development set aside on their property, then we wouldn't be looking for an easement on a piece that's only 1 or 2 acres or anything less than 5 acres. So those were the 2 additions those additions were posted online on May 5th. So at this time, if you have any questions, I can answer that, or you're welcome to start discussion.
Okay, Commissioner Weaver, do you have comments to make?
The proposal with eminent domain is not in your text, right?
It should be reflected at letter N at the very end.
November end.
Okay, wait a minute.
It is.
Shall not approve. Okay, thank you. I want to make sure it's in there. Now, one other comment I have, I need to make on this. Commissioner Fraser, you made a comment the last meeting when we talked about this, that you want to revisit this in a year. And, I think you triggered comments from Farm Bureau and the Ag Commission that this is what they're afraid of, that, we use the ag remainders for this solar energy systems, which kind of makes sense as far as I'm concerned. But then you may be a segue into using agriculturally zoned properties then to open this up to large operations in the future. And if you're aware, some of the operations we have presently on industrial ground now taking the property value from what agriculture is about 10,000 an acre to about $40,000 an acre on industrial solar development. What you would do for this later 45,000 acres we have could just drive the prices up tremendously on these remaining properties. Instead of that 100-acre farm going for $1 million, now it's $4 million, and it really drives the price of everything up. Plus the fact rental property, if it some of these remainders are still used for agriculture and being rented, if they are available for solar now from several $100 maybe an acre for some of the better land to $600, $700, $800 that is out of reach for agricultural purposes at that point. So I wish you'd clarify that. I do have concerns about this. If we revisit in a year and open this up, this would be counterproductive, I think, to what our other goals are in the county.
Right. The only thing I was saying, and I don't always express myself that well, but the only thing I was trying to get across is that we're going to do this on ag remainders. Before we look at anything else, let's wait at least a year to see how this is working. And then at the end of the year, we can revisit this. Is it a good thing or not a good thing? I'm not saying in the year we're going to open up to more solar on ag land. I'm not saying that at all. But what I was trying to say is that because the callers that or the public comment we got was saying, open this up on ag land now, kind of redo this now. We're not in a position to do that now. Let's look at this. Let's pass this amendment. Let's put it forward. Let's look at it for a year and see how well it's working. I'm not suggesting that we're going to do it any more than what we have right now. As a matter of fact, just yesterday, I was on a national call with NACO about this very issue. And I have to say, every single commissioner from across the country that weighed in on this was kind of against what they called the land grab of coming in and doing this. And not just with this, but even with the transmission lines going across some areas, because it takes a larger I don't know all the ins and outs of it, but they were talking about the larger transmission lines and the more area we're taking all this. Everyone was against that, even though the administration is offering the carrot of some incentives to do this. So I'm not in favor of adding this to ag land. I never said that. I said in the year we could revisit the topic. That's all I meant. Not doing it now. We have to look to see how this is working first.
Okay. I think that clears it up. I'm speaking a little bit, I guess, for the Farm Bureau and the Ag Commission. They first, with random development, put pressure on ground throughout the country, and it was just, a development here. Whoever could pay the most for this property pay the most. We've really done a good job, I think, in Carroll County of eliminating that and keeping our developments around the sit downs and municipalities, not having these random developments out there. And for a farmer, those random developments are very difficult to deal with. You have a house in the middle or houses right next to a 100-acre field. Well, spraying and drift and all kind of things come in. Corn stalks blowing across the front lawn becomes an issue. All kind of things come about there. So they have legitimate concerns about this being a segue in, even though I do give Brenda and everybody a great deal of credit for putting together something that's using the land that I think the remainders very well here. And as you said, I think a year from now would be a great time to, see if it's working. I think it would. I think this will work. The work gone into it and thought behind the EAC and everybody putting this together, I think will be maybe the answer to some of our problems. And we have to do something according to the state, correct?
If we don't do it, they'll come do it for us.
Therein lies the challenge,
Right.
yes. Because if we don't do it, like you said, Dennis, they're going to do it for us. And I'm afraid they're going to do it anyway.
Right.
So if we don't have something in place, we're going to be in a heap of trouble
Right.
here.
Yeah.
So it's
Because
good.
we're
it's
going to
good
be
for
right
us
back
do it.
into that
Right.
thing where Montgomery County is going to tell us what to do in
That's
Carroll.
right.
Yeah.
Well, Prince George's,
I
I
appreciate your
100% agree.
NACO comments. That sets what the tone nationwide where we are here, unlike what's happening in Littlestown and things. So it's really appreciated.
Yeah, and I have to watch what I say because I know what I say goes viral all the time. So I have to kind of be very specific.
No, I just remember last year what your comment, we have to tell our story, because if not, it's going to be shoved down our throats from others that don't represent Carroll County's best interest. So
Yeah, at least we've got a little bit of teeth now to push back on the Annapolis absurdity when it comes up, because it's going to happen.
Yeah.
Because we are taking this into our own hands and we are making
Right.
changes so that we
Right.
can have solar in Carroll County. And
Yeah.
I think that's the intent. So as long as we're doing things like this, hopefully we'll be okay. But you never know.
Yeah, and I'm going to tell you, Dick, on your theme there, and I wasn't here for the hearing, but I watched every second of it, and I was trying to push in to comment. And I remembered that it was a recording, so I couldn't do it. But yeah, I kept going. Wait, what? Hold on a minute. But I do not want to see large solar arrays on our ag land at all. But if we don't get a hold on putting it just in the remainders here, then that's what we're going to see. That's the problem here. And I get that the Ag and the Farm Bureau are concerned about that, But I question as to whether they realize that or not. If we don't do something now, we're going to be told to do something. I hope they understand that, because that's the key to this.
Well, things happened on the Eastern Shore that really got out of hand here. Some the Queen Anne's County and some of those that kind of set their minds of what can happen, and it is not pretty.
But those weren't remainders, were they?
No,
Those were not.
No, that
remainders.
was flat out
Right.
everywhere,
Yeah,
and that's what's
right.
happening up
Right.
here on Route 97 in
And-
Mount Joy.
Right, and that's
Yeah.
what's happened in Howard County on 32.
Right.
all
Yeah.
those So we have a finite number of remainders. And if we target those remainders for, growth or development, it can leave us alone on everything else. And it's not just this, but there's other things. We've
Right.
talked. We've got to protect what we try to accomplish here. And if not, it's going to be shoved down our throats.
Yeah.
So.
I hope that message is being conveyed to the ag and farm bureau communities.
Yeah.
I've mentioned it quite a few times here, even though, they one thing, a lot of these guys are dug in.
But they can be dug in all they want, Dick,
Right.
but
But the state comes in and overrides
Right.
Yeah.
everything.
You can't put your
It's
head in the
worse than this,
sand.
And I,
yeah.
And that's my concern is they put their head in the sand, and then all of a sudden, big state, big
Yeah.
jurisdictions come in with the rules,
Yeah.
and then all of a sudden we're
done.
done. So
And I
You know.
think, as you mentioned, Dick, I think Jay, and of course, Tom was Devil Biss. Remember that guy? He sort of
Didn't he have
led the
rocks?
charge here when this came out originally. And when it was presented to me, gosh, I don't know how long ago, I went to Dennis and said, hey, Dennis and I actually sat down with Tom, good grief, way back, and started the charge here. And it was then determined that if we don't get these limited areas in play, we're going to be outside looking in. And that's why the ag remainder part of it came into play. So to Brenda and Jay and to that guy named Devil Biss who's out there somewhere enjoying life, and everybody else that worked with this, I think we've done the best that we can do here to get a handle on it. I really do. So
We've had those discussions on Mako legislative calls. Same thing. If we don't do something here, the state's
right.
going to come in and say, this is what's going to happen.
yeah,
So I think we're being very proactive in this. We're taking the steps that we need to take. And, we're hopefully moving in the right direction so that we have control over it.
If I may, I'd like to hear from the zoning administrator or Voight about this since they'll be knee deep in it.
Good morning, Commissioner. Like I say, I mean, a lot of people put a lot of work into this, and I do think it's a good document. It's something that we can work with that, like I say, we can get in ahead of whatever the state's going to try and make us do. And I think in a way it's going to preserve more land than what the state's going to do. They're just going to say anywhere. And like I say, I think this is a good first step in being proactive and really trying to stay ahead of everybody.
Yeah, I agree, Jay. And my biggest concern is, those folks in the South, Montgomery and Prince George's County, who want to take advantage of every space they have for development, and they don't represent us. So we've got to stay in front of this. So at least that's my perspective. I appreciate your comments, Jay.
and I'm not against, Dennis. I'm not against revisiting, but I don't want the mindset to be we're revisiting to make more.
Oh, no,
Like you said.
right.
That's what you-
Right.
Because I heard that too, and I'm like, I don't think that's what he meant.
No, I did not mean that. I'm glad Commissioner Weaver brought that up so I could clarify. It's not what I meant.
Right.
I just meant that if we're going to do anything, let's look at this for a year first, and then we can revisit. And then we'll have the mind, how's this working? Is this enough? Then this is good.
You've been misinterpreted before, right?
That's so true. But with that, I'll make the motion the Board of Commissioners adopt the community solar's zoning text amendment as revised.
Second.
Okay, got a motion in a couple seconds. Any further discussion? Seeing, hearing none. Very good job, both Brenda and Jay. Thank you so much. All in favor?
Aye.
Got 5-0. Thank you. Good work. Let's see, where am I at? Solar, cross that out. Let's talk about playground equipment for the Westminster Veterans Memorial Park.
I always like to see the pictures on these.
I'm sure there'll be a tour sometime soon.
Yeah, there'll be a tour. Yeah.
Okay, Jeff, Maureen?
Okay, good morning, Commissioners. We are here this morning to request your approval to award a contract for the purchase and installation of playground equipment, safety surfacing, and related concrete work at the Westminster Veterans Memorial Park to Cunningham Recreation in the amount of $152,183.67. This equipment is being purchased through the Omnia National Competitive Purchasing Contract. This amount is within the budget and no additional funds should be needed. And for the project, I'll turn it over to Jeff.
Good morning, Commissioners. We're in the last stages of construction of Westminster Veterans Memorial Park. The playground is the last of the major amenities to be added to the park. We currently have a pavilion that has been constructed on site, and there's a walking trail which is already being used extensively. So we've got a little bit of limited site work remaining. The goal is to have this playground purchased and installed early summer, and then we would be looking to have a ribbon cutting for the park sometime in July. And I can tell you one of the last playgrounds we put in up in District 1, I believe we did have a commissioner do a test run on the slide. So Commissioner Frazier, there will be an opportunity for you with this being in your district if you would like to do so.
Oh, you can invite me out. Well, I'll try out all the equipment.
You had to bring that. You had to bring that up, didn't you, Dagus?
I did. There's photographic evidence of that.
Yeah, whatever.
He is the smallest commissioner of us all, so he would be able to fit on the slide. Commissioner Frazier, I'd like to enjoy seeing that.
It might not, the size might not all be appropriate. I'll do what I can.
Hey, Jeff, for edification, why can we do this and not procure playgrounds at the schools when folks are asking?
It's a very good question.
Well, thank you.
We have money within our capital budget for maintaining county parks. So this is something that's part of a larger capital project for the Westminster Veterans Memorial Park. We have other funding sources such as self-help, where the primary goal of that is to complete projects at county parks. We do also look at municipal parks from time to time or at school locations, but we tend to focus on things that directly impact county recreation and parks programs first. And when areas have other means of funding, municipalities are able to do some things with their funding. Schools are certainly able to do that with their funding as well. That typically is a little bit lower priority.
Okay.
The fact that there is going to be a playground up there, was that vetted with the community? Because there's been some pushback up in that from that community on the extent of what that park is going to mean. So I want to make sure that they're good with a playground. I'm assuming it's been vetted.
Yes, that absolutely has been vetted. The concerns that were raised previously about this park had to do with athletic fields, which are no longer a part of the completed project or the planned project. So the athletic fields and then the traffic associated with them are not a part of the project. The playground, the pavilion, and the walking trail have been in and discussed with the public from the start, and the public has been supportive.
Thank you.
Okay.
With that, I'll make the motion. The Board of Commissioners award the contract for the purchase and installation of playground equipment at the Westminster Veterans Memorial Park to Cunningham Recreational Incorporated in the amount of $152,183.67.
Second.
I'll second it. And when you put the playground equipment in and give Commissioner Boucher a tour, keep him off the equipment.
Hey, I'll be there opening day to go down the slide, by the way. Director Daggett, I want to comment on the artwork you have on the wall behind you. Was that made by staff or anyone? Because it looks like birch trees or something. That is beautiful.
Our staff are very talented, but no, they did not do that. I was bargain shopping and picked that up, but I thought it was appropriate for the office.
It's very lovely. Thank you.
At least one commissioner likes it.
I got motion in a couple seconds. Any further discussion on this? Seeing here none, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Wait,
Oh, wait, was
go
that
back.
picture?
I apologize, Mr. Swam. Okay,
Oh.
can you, bear with me one second?
Okay, seriously?
Just
See-
bear with me.
You should blow that up.
Daggetts, I'm going to be in your office in about an hour or
Just
so.
bear with
Okay?
me.
That's priceless.
Okay. So this kid right here, I think is very upset because this kid right here is taking up the space.
I think you're right.
There may be a tear coming out of this one because this one isn't out of the slide yet.
Yeah.
So just saying.
Mr. President, could we move on?
Oh, there you go.
Oh,
Ooh, see what I'm saying?
You can imagine what that kid's saying.
This
Mommy.
kid is, Mommy, can we get the guy out of the slide?
Jeez whiz.
Okay.
Okay. Wow.
Commissioner Wayne, I want to state that things like that make you a wonderful commissioner and people identify with you.
You are
So
just so wonderful.
I think I had a little burn. Just to let you know. Just saying.
Is that
We don't
because you
need
couldn't
to
get
know
to the slide?
We don't need to know that.
Okay, I apologize. Maureen, you are still up. Is the sheriff and Vicky joining us, talking about a training simulator for the sheriff's department?
Yes, we are moving on. We
Yeah,
request your approval.
thankfully, I must say.
We request your approval to purchase the interactive Milo Range Firearms Training Simulator in the amount of $61,782 from FAAC Incorporated. This is pricing off of a GSA contract. And if you have any questions about the equipment, I'll turn it over to Sheriff DeWeese.
Good morning, Sheriff.
Good morning. Steve, I've got a crawl space over here that I'm hearing some really strange noises out of at the old jail that you would be perfectly positioned to crawl into and investigate for me.
We're moving on, Sheriff. Moving on.
So before I get started, real quick, thanks for mentioning the police week. Last week was Correctional Officers Week. And as you guys know, it's been a tough year for law enforcement, and thanking a police officer has a different meaning in 2021 than it has ever in the past. So I appreciate you guys always recognizing the accomplishments of law enforcement, not only in my office, but throughout the county, and certainly my correctional deputies in the jail. I often say, if you don't hear anything come out of that place, then they're doing exactly what they should be doing.
That's
And
right.
so they do wonderful work as well. So thanks for mentioning that. The Milo machine, before you guys ask me, I know this is on the tip of your tongue. Is there an acronym for Milo? What does it mean? There is no acronym for it. It's considered a Milo, a virtual training system. So kind of how it works is that at North Carroll High School, we will install this system, and it's almost like walking into a theater. So it's virtual training for law enforcement, not just my office, but it'll be open for any local law enforcement agency that wants to use it and schedule time for it. And so one of the rooms that we've acquired up at North Carroll and cleaned up will have the system large enough so that it has props, a wall, maybe a mailbox, a place for a deputy to seek cover or concealment. But some of the things the Milo system does helps us with active shooter training, critical incident training, community police training, mental health, police crisis intervention, de-escalation training, also helps us with firearms, implicit bias. We purchased a taser, a firearm, as well as OC spray, so that when the deputy or officer is involved in a situation where they would need to use a weapon, There is a virtual weapon that comes with it that is calibrated to the machine, so they can see exactly where that weapon's being, whether it's a spray from a OC spray or the prongs from a taser, or even, unfortunately, if they have to fire a weapon, how accurate they are and where that bullet goes. And so what it does is it's all but a theater. The deputy will get a scenario that they're about to go into. An instructor will be in the room in the back of the room. And let's say, for example, they're going to call a man with a gun, or a man with some sort of weapon, a knife. And they get to that call. These are scenarios, 800 different scenarios that are played out by live actors. And the deputy then responds to the call, and the instructor can kind of send that scenario into a direction based on how the deputy's doing. If they've sought cover, if they're using good verbal skills, and they're trying to de-escalate the situation, then the scenario is very winnable. And the deputy can then de-escalate it to a point where the suspect drops the weapon and they take them into custody. But if the deputy's not doing what they're supposed to be doing, they didn't seek cover, they seem like they're out of control with their commands, and they're not doing what they're supposed to be doing or what they were trained to do, then the instructor can send that to a direction where the scenario turns into a use of force. Everything's videoed. So at the end of the scenario, the instructor and the deputy can see exactly what they did right, what they may have done wrong, and how they can win a scenario like that in the future. And Milo puts out updates on current scenarios throughout the country that you may have seen on TV. And they'll try and replicate that particular scenario so that a deputy can walk through and potentially identify pitfalls that took place and stop that from happening. This puts us in a category that very few organizations throughout the region or really in the country has the capability of doing. Currently, the Secret Service, the United States military, and a number of large organizations throughout the country use this system. With their acquisition of the North Carroll High School and the ability to spread out with training there, this puts us at a level that very few organizations in the region or in the country have. So we're really excited about putting this system into place. As you guys know, I do an annual Citizens Police Academy. This will be a system that we can run citizens through so that they can understand what deputies or how deputies are being trained and some of the reasons they use the force that they use. But all in all, I think this is a great acquisition, puts us in a different category that most organizations wish that they were in. Any questions?
Sheriff, I appreciate it. Go ahead, Commissioner Boucher.
Thank you, President Rothstein. Sheriff, I appreciate that you and your staff keep us on the cutting edge of technology for law enforcement. And I also want to know, would it be appropriate for me to do a tour with Immediate Tech once this is online for public awareness to show the training of our officers? But if it compromised anything, I wouldn't want to do it, but it'd have to be okay if is this something we'd want to share with the public or training facility?
Yeah, I don't think it's a bad thing to share. You can go onto the internet and see how Milo works, and the organizations that are using it. In some of the scenarios, they play out for you on the internet, but not at all. I mean, I would love to have you guys up there and go through some of the incidents that my deputies are going to have to go through. But understand, it's not just a use of force. It also is a de-escalation tool. It is a theater where the deputy can get close enough to communicate or far enough away so that they can find cover and use a specific tool. But 800 different scenarios that are as live and in theater as we can possibly put them through. The other thing that it does is because our police academy is there and every one of my deputies, both corrections and law enforcement, go through North Carroll throughout the year for in-service. We can work on immediately with firearms training. So typically we would have to send our deputies either to Half-Acre or to the southern area down in Ellersburg to the Training Commission for firearms. In this case, we can start getting our deputies familiar with firearms immediately by using the Milo system because they have the weapon, they have now the holster. We're able to work in a confined area so that they can a controlled area so that they can learn how to use the firearm and practice accuracy with it, because we are accountable for everything that comes out of that gun. And so it will save us time as we go down to the range, as opposed to getting familiar with the weapon down there. We can go right online and start firing and using the weapon for real. So the capabilities of it are just limitless.
Sheriff, I appreciate it. And I've used systems like this. I don't know if it was Milo or not, but I remember doing this a while back. One question I do have is, can you, do the scenarios allow us to interact with police and other services that may be necessary in a situation, whether it's, again, EMS or, like you said, mental health situations? So it's a multiplayer scenario where they're interacting with others that may be coming on the scene. Do you know?
Yeah, so it does go through, for example, active shooters or an incident that may take place in a school, so that they would walk through a scenario and come across fire EMS that maybe have gotten into a hot zone, and then we go past them and communicate with them. It also allows us to use two different students in the scenario. So one could be contact, one could be cover. As far as fire EMS, those sort of things, yes, there are scenarios where we come across fire EMS or have them stage or communicate with them and then move to where the incident is taking place. So 800 different scenarios, just absolutely limitless. I mean, we're just going through and sifting through how we can use the system. And once we get it set up, we'll really be able to refine how we train and train with others as well. And again, I want to make sure that it's open to, and I've spoken to the other chiefs, to them and their staff as well, so that they can come up and train on it. And I just think it just puts us at a different level when it comes to training. With the legislation that was just passed, use of force being the biggest issue. And I'll be honest with you, we don't get many use of force incidents that take place in this county because we're very well trained when it comes to de-escalation. The deputies and law enforcement in this county do a fabulous job. But I want to make sure that we're seeing as many scenarios as possible and putting our folks through them so they know what type of weapon, if any weapon at all, is needed. Usually the weapon that gets them out of trouble the most would be their mouth. And so the ability to work through these scenarios. But the cool thing is to have the instructor watch the scenario and say, you're not doing what you're supposed to be doing, so I'm going to put it in a direction where you're going to have to use force, and then come back and show them you could have succeeded in de-escalating this had you done these things, is just extremely important. Training will put us in a better position.
Absolutely. Okay.
This is great for Carroll County. I applaud you for at least being proactive, especially in today's society and what we're seeing with police. These guys need all the training they can get, and this provides it. So thank you.
Good stuff.
Yeah, we've already got a really impressive simulator at the Public Safety Training Center that I've been involved with for quite a few years, and that's if you get a chance, you ought to sit in on some of the training there. The sheriff is correct. It brings real time into your face. Now, it's not the same as being out there and crawling through a burn building, but I tell you what, it's real close. So,
it's like a sliding.
It's not like a sliding board. No.
I move the Board of Commissioners award to purchase the interactive Milo range firearms training simulators to FAAC Incorporated in the amount of $61,782.
Second.
Okay, I have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Really appreciate the work, Sheriff, as always. Seeing, hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay, 5-0, thank you.
Thank you. When I get it set up, I'll make sure you guys know, and we'll get you up there to take a look at it. But thank you, I appreciate it.
That'd be great.
Absolutely, thanks.
Not volunteer to be a target.
On the real live end of a taser, Eric, I'll be more than happy to put you on the live end of that.
So will we.
Yeah.
Can I have the taser in my hand when we do that?
Okay, Celine. requesting approval to modify use of Community Development Block Grant, CDBG, for COVID Round 2. And there you are, Ms. Celine and Debbie. Go for it. You are muted. Maybe not.
Oh, check your gear wheel, Celine.
Check your gear wheel.
And it's,
Can't hear you, Celine.
No, we can't hear you.
might want to turn it over to Deb.
Yeah, Celine, why don't you check your gear wheel at the time? Deb, can you take it?
Absolutely. I think we lost her altogether. Let me just pull it up really quickly. Sorry, commissioners. So we received an award of Community Development Block Grant for just over $500,000 for rental assistance. In the meantime, other federal grants came through and we were awarded the ERAP funding. We came before you about a month ago to accept that. And in lieu of that funding, CDBG asked us for a modified award. They asked us what else we could use the money for. And so we are proposing the following uses. We will provide, see if Celine, are you back with us?
I'm here. Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Oh, good.
I just did the intro. If you want to run through the subrecipients and the project budget.
Okay, wonderful. Thank you. Sorry about that, folks. So what we have proposed for the projects for this funding would be a full-time infection control specialist with Access Carroll for $105,324. You're all very familiar with Access Carroll. They are the only full-time community health safety net medical provider that targets our that they serve low-income, uninsured, and at-risk residents of Carroll County. Access provides full-time integrated healthcare services, including medical, dental, behavioral health, for any resident of any age on a sliding scale fee, and accepts medical assistance insurances. During FY20, the organization served approximately 10,000 patients. So one other very significant thing about Access is, excuse me, that in response to coronavirus and the state of emergency, Access Carroll has remained open the entire time, providing on-site emergent services and telehealth services in all service lines. Diligent patient and staff screening, utilization of PPE, a safe environment of care have been implemented since March of 2020. As the organization continues to reopen fully for all of their services, which also include COVID testing, as well as specialized and targeted COVID vaccination clinics that they've helped to run in collaboration with the health department, the need for infection control is critical. The addition of an infection control associate to support their environment of care is definitely essential. So that is one of the the projects that we're proposing. The next is the ARC of Carroll County for a full-time position devoted to training clients and staff at the ARC of Carroll County. This training manager position would be for $114,000 with this award. This position is critical to their plan to continue to move forward and provide services in the safest possible manner, requiring adequate cleaning of facilities and training people on PPE utilization, and then also how to clean their vehicles and continue social distancing protocols. And then, as you all know, as things start to reopen, continuing that training for folks on what is safe, what is the recommendation as per the most up-to-date CDC guidelines, and minimizing possible exposure and risk for the folks that they work with. So that is, they actually had received an award with COVID Round 1 and have that position in place, and we're requesting the continuation of that position as they continue their response. The next proposed project for the funding is the Westminster Rescue Mission to have not only a full-time staff member, but also to accept additional food donations, to have a forklift and on-site refrigerated trailer purchased for their use. Carroll County, like most jurisdictions, had a sharp increase in the demand for food during the pandemic. Westminster Rescue Mission alone distributed more than 744,000 pounds of food in 2020, which was a 17% increase in demand year over year. Carroll County is eligible to accept the Emergency Food Assistance Program, also known as TFAP. It's a USDA program that provides food at no cost but there are currently no infrastructures. There's not an infrastructure in place to accept those donations within the county on the full level that we're able to be awarded that food. It's 8,000 pounds per month. Westminster Rescue Mission is working on a long-term plan to increase. They were working already prior to COVID on a long-term plan to increase their administrative and physical capacity to start accepting TFAP food. However, they did not get there once COVID hit. But COVID has now reinforced the need for additional food to come into the county. And this is a great opportunity. The Maryland Food Bank has been working across the county to talk to different food service providers to accept this additional donation of food. So the funding with this grant money could provide the infrastructure at Westminster Rescue Mission to accept this food, that then they will help to get out to the smaller food pantries and kitchens throughout the county. So it would be a win-win. And that funding includes salary and fringe for the full-time position, for administrative oversight, and then the purchase of a refrigerated trailer and also a new forklift, and a little bit of funding for propane. And so that total award for Westminster Rescue Mission is $223,010. The next project would be a part-time staff for the Bureau of Aging and Disabilities. This staff would provide outreach and case management services to isolated seniors. Right now, the Bureau of Aging and Disabilities would have a need for this position within their MAP Information and Assistance Office. We have no capacity at this point to provide case management services to our clients that are not enrolled in other Bureau of Aging programs. This would allow us to target those individuals who do have long-term services and supports that are not in our program, but do need this case management assistance. We could go out to congregate living facilities, provide on-site MAP assistance and services there, and then also be engaged in other community activities with these individuals. We could do screenings and enrollments on site with individuals as well with this position. So we are asking for $52,982 to be awarded to provide that staffing support at the Bureau. And then of course we would be keeping $34,276 for administrative oversight of the entire grant funding within the Department of Citizen Services so that we could monitor the fiscal and programmatic oversight. So at this point, I'll take any questions. The total award is $529,592.
Okay, thanks, Celine. And Debbie, any questions on this? Always great opportunity to receive grants when we don't have a county match assigned to it. So,
Director Steckles, this is all very noble and I'm supportive, but my concern is when the grant runs out, will we as a county be on the hook to finance this, or is this temporary? What's the long term on this?
We would not be on the hook. These positions we provide the funding for a very specific amount of time for these positions, and for the position at Access Carroll, as well as the one at the ARC, and as well as the one at the Bureau of Aging and Disabilities, and the Rescue Mission. If there was a continued need for them, these agencies would need to seek sustainable funding for that. We are not on the hook for continuing those positions.
Thank you.
okay. Any other comments, discussion on this?
Now I'll move that we approve the modification of the CDBG COVID Round 2 award. And why do we have to advertise? Is that just part of it, I guess, for public comment?
It is
Whatever.
a requirement of the grant that we advertise for public comment.
Okay. So we'll do that. And then I move we approve the part-time contractual position for the Bureau of Aging and Disabilities.
Second.
Okay, I got a motion, I believe, and a second associated with that motion. Any further comment? Seeing here none. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Thank you so much, Celine and Debbie.
Thank you.
Let's see. There's a request for quotation approval, purchase of 5 CA60 20B Clark Boost auto scrubbers. I'm looking forward to finding out what these are at the senior centers. Ms. Gina and Carrie.
Commissioners, if I could just interrupt for a minute, please. I would just like to make an introduction of Carrie Dulski as the newest buyer in the procurement office. Carrie was promoted from associate buyer to buyer, and just want to let you know she's a great asset to the purchasing office, and happy for this promotion. And I'm going to turn it over to Carrie to actually introduce the scrubbers.
Okay,
Thank you.
Ms. Berry. Thank you.
Thanks, Maureen. The Carroll County Bureau of Aging, in cooperation with the Office of Procurement, is requesting approval for 5 Clark Boost auto scrubbers for each of the 5 senior centers within the county. There were 3 bids that were that we solicited bids for. Acme Paper came in as low bid, or low quote actually, for $26,925. The purchase will be made through CARES Act Title 3C funding, and no additional funds will be necessary.
Okay, so what are these scrubbers all about?
Cleaning the floor.
Okay, of course, it's going to make me talk. I'm sorry, I don't have much of a voice to talk with. But the scrubbers are utilized to strip and clean the floors within all of the senior centers. They are used as far as the cleaning goes on a daily basis. We have older models right now, and that the staff are very pleased with. And so the purchase of these, if approved, would be used
Hey, Gina, save your voice.
Thank you.
We got it.
Thank you.
I'll move the Board of Commissioners award the purchase of these 5 CA6020B Clark Boost Auto Scrubbers to Acme Paper in the amount of $26,925.
Second, and I think you ought to go try one out.
I'm looking forward to, I know
Yeah.
how to do it. I've basic training, man.
I
That's all.
suggest not him. I suggest Boucher go clean the floors at each of the communities, each of the senior
I was the
centers.
master scrubber.
So that I want that as part of the motion.
I actually have a question. Let me ask a question.
Okay, I
The-
apologize. Okay, I got a motion, I got a second. I now have discussion. I have a question.
Just have a question. It says an auto scrubber. Does that mean does someone actually have to use it, or does it go out like those auto vacuums that you had that you have timed? Yeah.
Wouldn't it be nice if that's how they actually worked? But no, somebody has to utilize it. But they're
Okay.
auto, meaning that they propel very easily with navigation.
So not completely auto yet.
So
The next generation will be.
I was here to save your voice, but Commissioner Frazier
It was an important
therefore
question.
strained it, but that's okay. I have a motion, I have a second. Any further discussion? Seeing here none, all in favor?
Aye.
Thank you, ladies.
Thank you, Commissioner.
Thank you.
Okay, I need we got a bid approval for purchase and installation of replacement pumps and control panel at Water's Edge Pump Station.
The Office of Procurement, in cooperation with the Bureau of Utilities, is requesting your approval to award 3 separate contracts for the purchase and installation of replacement pumps and control panel at Water's Edge Pump Station in Eldersburg. The first award would go to Excellent Water Solutions for the purchase of the pumps. They are the authorized sole distributor of these flight pumps. And the 2 other contracts we request your approval for would be in the amount. For Excellent, it would be for $33,814.05. The next 2 are term contractors that the county has. One to Mid-Atlantic Utilities in the amount of $31,880, and Control Systems 21 in the amount of $34,655. I'm going to turn this over to Andy for the background on this.
Okay, thanks, Carrie. Andy?
Thank you, Carrie. Gentlemen, good morning, and thank you for including me on your schedule again. As per Carrie and the briefing paper, this item is for replacement wastewater pumps at the Water's Edge Sewage Pump Station in the Freedom District. Water's Edge Pump Station is located near the southern intersection of Johnsville Road and Maryland 32. It was built in 2002, and the dual pumps have been in operation since that time. These pumps are nearing the end of their useful service life and have recently been experiencing some mechanical issues and concerns. The replacement pumps are equivalent size flight pumps, and based on our experience with other similar flight products, we expect a seamless transition and good service. Standard warranties apply to both the equipment and the labor. This agenda item, as Carrie said, includes 3 separate awards of contract for the pumps and the associated control panel. I do not mention this enough when I appear in open session, but Bureau staff did outstanding work in breaking the overall task down into individual parts and then interacting with separate vendors to obtain the best overall product and price for these improvements. Any questions for me?
Andy, thanks for that, especially that last part. I will share I see somebody down at that pump station all the time, you know. So I would imagine they are definitely on their last leg. You know, but it's right down the street from me. So yeah, I appreciate the work being done there. I'll move the Board of Commissioners award the 3 separate contracts for the purchase and installation of replacement pumps and control panel at Water's Edge Pump Station in Xylem. Water Solutions Incorporated in the amount of $33,814.05. To Mid-Atlantic Utilities Incorporated in the amount of $31,880. And to Control Systems 21 in the amount of $34,655.
Second.
Okay, got a motion, got a second. Great work. Any further comments, discussion? Seeing here none, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Let's see. Let's move on to question of bid approval engineering services for design of the Bartholomew Water Booster Station. Yeah, for the Bartholomew Water Booster Station. Go for it.
The Office of Procurement, in cooperation with the Bureau of Utilities, is requesting your approval to award the contract for engineering services for the design of the Bartholomew Water Booster Station to Whitman, Reichert and Associates in the amount of $253,246. Whitman, Reichert and Associates is currently one of our term contractors. The proposal amount is within the adopted budget. No additional funds would be necessary.
Gentlemen, bear with me with this with this agenda item. I'm going to offer quite a bit of information. Feel free to interrupt me at any time with any questions or comments. For a brief background of the basis of this project, the Freedom Water Service System is divided into 2 major zones. The low elevation zone, which is about 80% of the service area and generally includes everything east of Maryland 32, and the high elevation zone, which is the remaining 20% of the service area, and it's generally everything west of Maryland 32. The low zone includes the Freedom Water Treatment Plant, the 1 million gallon Liberty tank, the 1 million gallon March tank, and the presently offline 1 million gallon Bartholomew tank. The high zone includes the 500,000 gallon Linton tank. This tank is supplied by the booster pump station at March tank. There is no backup system in place currently for the March tank booster pump station. Please recall that this board approved the contract award to Whitman Reichert and Associates in February of 2020 for the evaluation of the Bartholomew water storage tank and the feasibility of bringing the tank back online to serve as a redundant water supply for the Linton tank and the high zone, rather than relying completely on the March tank booster pump station. At that time, I explained to the board that the Bartholomew tank was taken offline in 2013 because of low water pressure issues in the vicinity of the tank, as well as major water stagnation issues. The Whitman study for the Bartholomew tank has since been completed and recommends against reactivating the Bartholomew tank, basically because of continuing concerns with the overall water system stagnation. What this essentially means is that the service system would not be able to use or turn over the stored 3.5 million gallons of water quickly enough before the added chlorine at the treatment plant would begin to break down into contaminants. However, the study also recognized the importance of and the need for a redundant water supply to the high zone. To address this need, it has been recommended that a booster pump station be constructed at the Bartholomew tank site to service the high zone. Upon review of this recommendation, Bureau staff concurred with this for the following reasons. Obviously, first and foremost, this would provide a redundant water supply to the high zone. Currently, if the March booster pump station were to go offline for any reason whatsoever, there are no direct means of providing water to the high zone. Secondly, the new Bartholomew booster pump station would become the primary water supply to the high zone. This would result in 2 major benefits to the low zone. The first benefit is that the March tank would remain as full as possible during the peak morning needs for water service. This would result in an increase in pressure of approximately 5 to 6 psi for the users in the neighborhoods surrounding the tank. That does not sound like a lot of increase in pressure, but it would make a substantial difference to those users. At this time, when the Linton tank water levels drop to a certain elevation, regardless of time of day, the Marks booster pump station activates and pushes water to Linton. When this water is drawn from the Marks tank, it steadily reduces the water pressure to the surrounding area. This continues until the full level is reached at Linton. The booster pump station then turns off and Marks tank is slowly replenished. The cycle repeats as the Linton tank calls for water during the day and the week. This water supply arrangement is finely tuned, and any changes made to it will directly impact the operation of Linton tank, Marks tank, or a combination of both tanks. The second benefit to bring me to, with the Bartholomew booster pump station being built is that the booster pump station would draw water from a 12-inch diameter main that in turn would draw water from the Liberty tank. This will assist us in greater water movement into and out of Liberty Tank and will help with stagnation concerns. And then finally, the Linton tank was constructed in 1998, and it has been in great operation since that time. However, it is beginning to show signs of wear and tear and will need to be repainted in the upcoming years. To do so, the tank will need to be taken offline for approximately 4 to 6 months. With the tank offline, there is limited confidence in the ability to supply acceptable water and pressure to the high zone exclusively via the Marks booster pump station. And importantly, little or to no confidence in providing the necessary water pressure and volumes required for extended firefighting efforts. The construction of the Bartholomew booster pump station would resolve these concerns. As Terry said, this contract is for the engineering services for the Bartholomew booster pump station and the 1,200-foot extension of a 12-inch diameter water main to the site. This facility is a much-needed improvement to the overall Freedom Water Service system. The scope of work includes construction drawings, all county and MDE permit-related services, and construction bid support services. Upon award of contract, the engineering services will be completed by the end of this year. The project will then be advertised for construction bids. At this time, the estimated cost for construction is in the estimated range of $2.3 to $2.7 million. However, this project appears to be a potential candidate for the federal ARPA funding and will be included on my Bureau's priority listing for use of ARPA funding. Gentlemen, it was my intention to keep this presentation as concise and focused as possible. However, as you've heard, there are a broad range of interconnected issues associated with this project and the overall Freedom Water system. I wanted you to be fully aware of the system shortcomings that staff and I have identified, as well as the best available means to resolve these issues as you consider the award of this contract. And not to overuse the word, but this project is truly exciting. With that, do you have any questions for me?
I appreciate the thoroughness. Is this tank, is it the one located by CVS?
Yes, it is. And we have adequate space at that tank site to accommodate the booster pump station. The booster pump station will essentially look the exact same as a sewage pump station. It'll be a brick type building, fully enclosed.
Right. Okay. And you mentioned the additional funding. And I imagine, well, I expect you are going through prioritization of funding through ARPA as far as what projects you will be recommending to be submitted for ARPA funding to us next week. Is that correct? And this is one of them?
That is correct. I do not believe that the listing of projects will be presented to the commissioners at that time. I believe that's just for the acceptance of the funding itself. Okay. I have been advised that we will be asked to provide a priority listing at some point in the near future.
Okay. Okay. That's fair. Any discussion on this? Good work again. Very thorough in the presentation. I move the Board of Commissioners award a contract for engineering services for the design of the Bartholomew Water Booster Station to Whitman, Reckart and Associates, LLP, in the amount of $253,246.
Second.
I got a motion second. Any further discussion? Seeing here none, all in favor?
Aye. Aye.
Okay, thank you so much.
Thank you, gentlemen.
Carrie, and again, congratulations.
Thank you, Commissioner.
Okay, is Mr. Singer with us? The one, the only. It's gonna be Maggie.
What a
All
step
right.
up. What a step up.
Thank you, Maggie. Maggie, you are not being heard. I lip read, oh no, gear wheel.
She tested it earlier and it did work.
Don't be defending the health department right now.
Maybe she's left.
She's gonna come back
Maggie
on.
left. She
Wow.
couldn't handle the pressure. Maybe it was water
Wow.
pressure. I don't know, but we
While
could always
we're
we could
waiting.
always put up slides and stuff like that.
You can't read
Well,
sign.
While
I
we're
can read
waiting,
sign.
I think we
I used to be American Sign language special ed. Yeah.
while we're waiting, I think we can go over some of the new state directives that were put out yesterday.
So yeah, go
Why
ahead.
don't we do that? And then
Sure.
because we always hear on this morning on BAL, they said, well, Hartford County's gone along with it.
Yep.
Baltimore County's gone along. Howard, don't ever hear anything about Carroll County. So
We did provide a comment
okay,
Thursday through Carroll County Times, but also the stations.
Okay.
And
well,
go ahead.
the bottom line is,
Just 1 second, Maggie.
the restrictions were some of the restrictions were lifted, and I think he also said that once we get to that 70% threshold for
Correct.
vaccines, that the indoor masking will probably go away. So, which is interesting because when we had talked previously, we were talking about opening up the county office building June the 1st to get back to some kind of normalcy. I would think that's going to be about right because I think he's hitting the Memorial Day
He is,
thing as
right.
the 70% thing. So that, and one of the things I want to applaud him for, and this is just me personally, I don't know how the rest of you feel, but that's putting the work search requirement back on unemployment.
Mhm.
Everybody that I've talked to, not only here, but in another area that I've been frequenting lately, it's all about we can't find any help
Correct.
because people are able to sit home and make as much money as they can as if they were working.
Mhm.
So I applaud the governor for putting that work search requirement back in. These people need to get back out and start looking for a job, or else we're going to be in trouble this summertime. We're going to be in trouble.
Okay.
Restaurants can't find help.
Right.
There's try to find a plumber and get a ETA on when they're going to come to you, or an electrician. Everybody's hurting
Right.
for employment. So I've had enough of people sitting home collecting unemployment when they should be out trying to look for a job. So I think that was a good move. So I think that was it. I believe.
I think.
Mr. Rothstein, I think so.
Well, I think. Well, I appreciate that because talking to restaurant owners, I mean, they are limited in their functions and they're closing on certain days because they do not have the support necessary and the help necessary. There are more signs out there for help wanted.
If I could make a comment
Yeah,
on that
please.
as well. If you're owed back unemployment, even if you start working now, they will still get you that back unemployment. I think a lot of people are fearful that they're owed money, and because it's whatever the reasons were, there so many people applying and all this other things were going on. But if they owe you back unemployment, you will get that money. That it doesn't prevent you from starting to work now and earning a paycheck. That back money should still be coming in. So I mean, I think some people might be holding out because of that, because if I start work now, I'm owed X amount of money, am I going to get that? Yes, the government is looking to get you all the money that is owed to you.
Right.
You can still start work.
Yep. And
If I may, I'd like to, I believe Commissioner Wance was just in Ocean City, and I believe they are facing a major employment crisis with the forthcoming vacationers. They can't find enough help to run the resort down.
Yeah, you're right. They've got no tram drivers.
Right.
They've got the things that everybody expects when they get down there.
Mhm.
It's
Right.
going to be completely different. Everybody thinks it's going to be back to normal. Hang on.
Yeah.
I was in a restaurant the other day. They're closed Tuesdays, Wednesdays, and Thursdays.
Mhm.
And the reason, in bold letters, lack of staff.
Yep. Yeah. And
Local restaurants are the same.
Yeah.
I've talked to many of the owners.
Yep.
We can't get help.
Yeah.
in Baltimore, local, absolutely. The other piece, and I know Maggie's going to get into this regarding the vaccines. We are we've come up with verbiage that we'll talk about in open about putting out in the tax bills, the couple lines that we have available, where to get vaccines. We got to continue, again, as leaders, as we've always said, in the community, and encourage other leaders in the community to promote getting the vaccines, to promote wearing the masks when appropriate. We will get through this. There's, that's what it's about. And we're moving in the direction because of how aggressive we've been. So with that, let's see how we're doing. Miss Maggie.
Morning. Can you hear me now?
We can.
Excellent. All right. Well, first I have to say, I'm wondering if I ask Ed if he'll maybe let me take a little hiatus and work in Ocean City for the summer.
Sure. I'm in, Ed. You can do that.
Sounds like a nice break. All right, commissioners, we have some good news slides for you this morning. We'll start with this slide that Commissioner Frazier had requested several weeks ago. As you can see, all of our slides will reflect a pretty positive downward trend that we're happy to see this week. Keeping in mind that our levels are still relatively high given where they have been previously this year, but they are going down in the right direction. So we're happy about that. Still, as you can see, still in a substantial range here, but going down. And then here again, you see this nice wave is coming down. We had a little bit of a blip last week, but it looks like it's heading in the right direction with our case numbers. This is all of our cases confirmed and probable. Again, here's the 14-day rolling average that gives you kind of smooths things out, but you can still see that's heading downward as well. The next graph is new. It looks very similar to our cases by age, but that was just pure case numbers by age. And as you can imagine, the age groups are not really, equal. There aren't equal numbers of people in each of those groups. And so Ed this week asked for the data by rates. And so this is the age groups broken down by rate. So you can really see they followed a lot of the same trends, although those pesky 18 to 29-year-olds had a couple of interesting bumps there. But you can see now kind of at the end where we are in the last few weeks, you can see the 65 and up group really dipping, except for that little blip again last week. But you can see them really going down and the other age groups going down. You can see some of the younger and middle groups are still higher. So their rates within their age group are higher. So that's just an interesting little bit more accurate way of looking at them. So we're not just looking at numbers, but looking at actual rates per age group. So as we've said many times, hospitalizations and deaths do trail cases a little bit. They lag cases by a couple of weeks. The hospital is still, seeing a fair number of COVID cases and, fairly high census, and that continues. It's not as high as it was a couple of weeks ago, but it is still pretty significant. And we expect that to happen again to lag the cases. This, is just every week. It doesn't change a lot every week, but we have seen a couple of additional cases of hospitalizations in those younger age groups, the 0 to 17 and the 18 to 44 continues to creep up just a little bit. And then our deaths by week of death, you can still see we have consistently had at least 2 deaths over the last, several weeks. And so we continue to see 2 to 3 deaths a week. As that lags the cases, we're hoping that will continue to reduce and hopefully get down to 0 deaths per week soon. Here's our just now very busy vaccination chart. We're going to have to change this to something else soon. It's a little hard to read, but you can see that we consistently continue to vaccinate folks. But as you can see, the number of first doses has really dropped off. Our second doses are still pretty consistent. And we did have a J&J clinic last week. So you'll see that little 116 there is our last J&J clinic. And those numbers continue to rise. So we're happy to almost be at 25,000 first doses administered by the health department. Here's our chart of the vaccinated population by week. This is the total population. So keep in mind when Governor Hogan is talking about 65% of Maryland being vaccinated, that's adults. And this is, compared to the entire population. So there are different ways of looking at data, as we all know. So this is just out of their entire population. So we're nearly at 50%. If you round up, we're at 50%. Here is our vaccinated by age group. You can see, each of these numbers creeping up a little bit per week, but we definitely saw a significant increase in the 16 to 19-year-olds from last week. So happy to see that group starting to get vaccinated. It's a little bit more challenging since the 16 to 18-year-olds can only get Pfizer, but they are seeking and finding vaccination. And then here's, a couple of our race and ethnicity slides that tell you how we're doing, making sure we're vaccinating all of our minority groups, and continues to lag a little bit in the Hispanic population. We are having our second dose clinic at St. John's on the 23rd and inviting people to come for their first dose there, as long as they're comfortable going to the mall for their second dose. So we're hoping to engage additional people in the Hispanic community to come and encourage their friends and relatives to come to that clinic as well. So that's on the 23rd. And here is our, another chart, just as this is our older adults by race. And the same thing, we continue to trail a little bit in the Hispanic population, looking to work with them to increase the rates, but doing pretty well in other racial groups. And just a summary of where we are with our vaccination clinics. There are many clinics now available at the town mall. It's pretty convenient. You come in the outside, not from the inside of the mall, but from the outside, the old Sears. It's by Lot H, close to Arby's. And we encourage people to get registered because it's easier for them to go through the process a little bit faster if they register online beforehand, but they can walk in. So we certainly do accept walk-ins at the time. It just takes a few extra minutes to register on site. We have one Johnson & Johnson clinic scheduled. I believe it's June 3rd. So we have another one coming up for anybody who's interested in that one and done vaccine. And the most exciting thing for us this week is our children's clinic or adolescent clinic for ages 12 through 17. The Pfizer vaccine was approved. The study has shown us safe and effective in ages 12 through 15. It was already approved for 16 and 17-year-olds. It was approved by the CDC and the Maryland Department of Health, as well as the FDA. And so as soon as we found out, we did open our clinic for 12 to 17-year-olds only on May 19th, featuring the Pfizer vaccine. That'll be at the town mall. And I would say within 6 hours, that was completely full. So that is that clinic is full. And so now we are working to hopefully schedule another clinic the following week, dependent on vaccine allocation from the state. So if we're able to get, we will tentatively schedule and fill that clinic, and we will, we'll work to get that allocation filled by the state. And here's a link to where that clinic will be posted. That second clinic will be posted, and as well as more information on the approval process and any other information about vaccines and children. Does anybody have any questions about that before we go on? Because I know it's a big topic. We can.
No, please go on.
Okay. All right. So this is just the same slide. I was going to switch this out and didn't have time. So this is just the same graphic. I know Ed likes this. It's a little bit complex, but the basic message is, folks who are vaccinated can more safely do more things. So, and as we continue to open up and continue to improve our vaccination rates, we'll see less COVID spreading in the community, and that will be great for all of us. All right, and just last but not least, here's the link for folks to follow. You can also just go to our website, our homepage, cchd.maryland.gov, and go right to the registration links and sign up for a clinic. You don't have to be from Carroll County. We're open to everybody. And here's also information on the mass vaccination sites, which are also now pretty much drive up if people don't have time to make an appointment. And here is Ed, our fearless leader. Even if he isn't with us today, this is his GoVax ambassador poster, and we will be working on creating those for many other community leaders and community members over the next few weeks. You'll start to see them pop up on our social media, in the mall, and in other spots. So look for those coming soon. All right, anybody have any questions?
Thank you. Any comments? One thing, Maggie, I think it was the governor talked about pharmacies, the increased amount of pharmacies that now have vaccines. And I probably should have asked while you were going through this, but it sounds like more and more pharmacies and Martin's and Safeway have vaccines. I did a reopening at Safeway, and the guy at Safeway, the manager, said we have plenty. And so there's so many places now, and I want to say there's an excuse not to get a vaccine, but there's so many opportunities. Are you seeing the same?
Yes, there are a lot of opportunities to get vaccinated, and now that a lot of folks have been able to get vaccinated, it's easy to walk in just about any pharmacy around here and get vaccinated. For folks who are looking for 12 to 17-year-olds or looking for Pfizer, there are a lot of pharmacies now that are offering Pfizer, and the state just tweaked their site so that you can search just by Pfizer and just for people who are able to vaccinate 12-year-olds. A lot of pharmacies are able to vaccinate kids 12 and up. So that's another option for parents who don't want to go to a mass vaccination site, but want to get their child vaccinated quickly. A lot of the pharmacies around here are going to be available for that. So yeah, it's definitely should be very easy to get your vaccine.
I mean, the biggest gut punch for me is still seeing 3-4 deaths a week and hospitalizations. I mean, it does. It feels like somebody's just like punching hard right in the gut saying, why are we still in this, and looking forward to getting to those zeros. I really appreciate the work you and your team are doing with both Chris Weinberg and Chris Swam in partnership, getting the messages out to our community. So thank you so much for all that you and the folks over there are doing. So
thank you for the important work you do to also spread the message, and we really appreciate your support.
Just a quick question you can put out there again, the times and the dates that you can walk into the town mall to get that's a Sears building from the outside, but walk in to get your vaccination.
Right. That is a great question. So we let me bring that up so I don't make any mistakes. But one thing we are working towards a more regular schedule. So every Tuesday at this time, every Thursday at this time. We're not quite there yet because we are still wrapping up some of the second dose clinics that we offered around the county. So since it's 2 doses, we've been around kind of completing those in the locations where the locations outside of Westminster where people got their first doses. So we're not able to get to that quite yet, but in just a second here, I will tell you. So we have a clinic today from 3 to 7 p.m. at the mall. So folks are welcome to walk in today from 3 to 7. That is a Moderna clinic. We have another clinic next Thursday from 3 to 7 at the town mall. That's the 20th. And then the following Thursday from 10 a.m. to 1 p.m., another Moderna clinic at the town mall. And then the Johnson & Johnson clinic is on June 3rd from 5 to 7 p.m. So most importantly, there's one today from 3 to 7 p.m. at the town mall. That is in the old Sears near the optical department. And it's parking lot H. And so you can walk in anytime between 3 and 7, register and get your vaccine.
Ms. Coons, thanks for all your hard work. Science is showing that those who have been previously infected with COVID have the same, if not more, antibodies as those who are vaccinated. With that knowledge out there, is there any way for us to calculate and determine how much of our existing population has been previously infected so we can look at that up against the number who are vaccinated to determine where we're reaching our herd immunity?
Mr. Boucher, you always have the best questions. So I think you could probably guess at something that would give us a little bit larger immunity, but that assumes we're still just learning about how much immunity previous infection really grants somebody. And so I think a couple of the challenges with that, folks who have really mild illness are likely to maybe be less protected or protected for a shorter length of time than folks who had maybe a more severe illness. And because the immune system works in several ways, so an antibody level definitely shows that you had an infection and that you probably have some protection for a time. But there are other components to the infection response, T cells and B cells and things like that, that we don't know how folks who were infected, how much of that immune response is going to last. And so it's a little bit difficult to equate really the vaccine with the previous infection. Some people may be well protected, some people may not be as well protected. And that's why we recommend that even people who have gotten infected, especially with only a mild infection, do get the COVID vaccine. So you could probably do some calculations, but I haven't seen anybody try to do that. I'll have to look into it. But overall, we wouldn't say that we wouldn't equate that protection with the same protection that a vaccine gives. So it would be, it's apples and a different kind of apples, I guess.
Well, thank you. Are you seeing any uptick in adverse reactions to the vaccination to people who have been previously infected? Because I've heard there's a concern about that people I've talked to from previously infected got their shot and they had more of an adverse reaction to it than those who didn't. Is that true?
I think that we have seen in a limited number of cases that has been true. I think that sometimes people do have a because people have usually more of a reaction to the second shot, and so it's sort of the same thing. So one person, a doctor at MDH described the vaccine as being like a wanted poster, where it's kind of a note where you're teaching your body how to look for something bad and fight it next time. And so if that's what, the infection kind of gives that same sort of first glance at that wanted poster, then your body might react a little bit more strongly. And so most of those side effects are just, your body reacting, your immune system reacting to, to the second shot. So it is possible that they might have stronger side effects. You want to talk to their doctor first. It may depend on how severe their illness was. It's different for every person, but if there's concern about that level of side effects, it's unpleasant, but for most people, it resolves after a day or two, and is certainly, less of a serious long-term issue than a serious COVID infection. So I would say if you've been infected before, I would still consider getting vaccinated. If you're concerned about side effects because you had a pretty serious illness, I would talk to your doctor and see what they say.
Thank you. And for the record, the ease people's concerns, we have had no fatalities in Carroll County from people being vaccinated. Is that correct?
Absolutely no, absolutely not.
Thank you very much for clarifying that.
I appreciate it. And again, as you see, those that are watching, we're in here. We still have the plexiglass. We've all been vaccinated for well over 2 weeks now with our second vaccination. We have air purifiers. In other words, we are confident that we are doing what's right. And if we weren't, we wouldn't be here. So, we've got to take the appropriate steps in moving in that direction to get to normalcy. Maggie, thank you so much for you and the team. So let's move on. And I think Ted is going to join us to talk about the FY21 third quarter budget. What's that?
So we can only hope Ted's going to join us.
FY21 third quarter budget update and request approval of capital budget resolution transfer of funds. I see Ted.
Yes, your hopes have come true.
It's a great day.
Indeed.
Go ahead, Ted.
Right. Unless you want me to go into greater detail, I'm going to do this pretty quickly because there's not a whole lot new to tell you from the last time we talked. In fact, the revenue picture, we have not really changed anything in any notable way. The big thing to remember there on our projections of what will be in excess of budget is we still have about half of our income tax waiting to come in. We'll get our next big picture at the end of this month. And then the rest of it, we don't see until June, July, and August. So that remains a big question. Could be we'll get more than we expected, but it could be that we'll get less than we expected. On the expenditure side, this has changed some. We now are projecting a greater amount unspent at the end of the year. And that is largely because we are past winter weather now and are no longer expecting or even waiting to see if we have to spend money out of the snow removal budget. And of course, as we're close to the end of the year now, our reserve for contingencies remains largely unspent. So that's a stronger likelihood that remains there. Then the other thing that has changed is, we've talked about the unassigned fund balance, the amount that we had at the end of fiscal year 20, which is about $30 million. Our current projection for 21 is about $29 million for a total of about $59 million. Remember, in the budget process and in your proposed budget, you assigned a great deal of that to the fiscal year 22 budget and to a little bit to future budgets. So when we look at our latest expectation for surplus and the uses that you've already put into your budget, we would expect about $11 million to remain unassigned if everything plays out as we have right now. So we're left now just to see what happens with the remainder of the year. That's what we see for now. Anything else you would like me to go deeper into, or any questions?
No, I don't think so. I mean, that's good to know. I mean, that's about where we were before. I don't think there's a whole lot of change there. We knew that that was going to be where it was. So nothing much has changed, as you said. So
The increase in unassigned fund balance is how much? From what to what?
Not sure what you're asking.
Well, you said there's $11 million unassigned fund balance right now.
Okay, that's
Go ahead.
That's what is projected to remain.
Right.
After we figure out everything that will happen with revenues and expenditures and take out the unassigned that you have now proposed to assign to future budgets. So all the uses that you made of unassigned, we're saying after you've figured all that in, we figure about $11 million will remain.
Okay.
which is where it was before, pretty much. That's what we were thinking before.
Yeah, a little bit higher now because of an expectation that less will be spent.
Yeah, and I apologize, Dave, and that's where I'm going is it's a little bit higher now. I mean, is it, 5 figures, 6 figures? What's a little bit higher mean?
I don't remember.
Okay.
Where it was, but I'm not sure. I don't.
That's okay. I mean, and the point is, I apologize, Deb, real quick.
Deb is on. She can tell you.
Right.
Yes.
The point is, are we being too guarded, too fiscally guarded throughout the year, or do you feel that we are on course and really this is, not that big, that dramatic from one to another? And that's kind of where I'm thinking. Deb?
Well, can I start by answering your question originally? When we were wrapping up the proposed work session, we had about $7 million remaining in unassigned fund balance that we were just going to hold to the side. And if you recall, there was still a balance on the bottom line for FY22. And I said that we would reduce the amount that we're using of unassigned fund balance in FY22 so that the budget would balance. So that increased the unassigned fund balance from 7 to probably 8 something. And then what we just did was in our third quarter projection, we recognized $2.4 million more of unexpended. So that brings us up close to that $11 million of unassigned.
Okay.
Okay. And on your last question, this is playing out as it would in any year. When we're looking at unexpended, we make projections where we think the year is going to end. But when you're making the projection in November, you're less certain than you are in February, and you're less certain than you will be in May. We're just getting closer to the end now, so it's easier to say, yes, we're confident that this will be left.
Right. Okay. And that's absolutely fair, and I appreciate that. Thank you both. Any other discussion, questions you want to bring up? Okay, is there any action that we need to take at this, or just for information at this point?
Just information.
Okay.
There's 2 resolutions that we need to have you approve.
Oh,
Yeah.
sorry.
That's right, the self-help and
Correct.
yes.
I can go through them if you want.
Yeah, I don't have them in front of me, Deb, so why don't you do that?
Oh, okay. All right, our first is capital budget resolution C-21.07. And during these quarterly updates, what we like to do is clean up some of our capital projects, as projects close, because, we need your authority to transfer funds. So this first one, capital budget resolution 21.07, is the community self-help project. This is a rec and park project where we provide funding for community projects, and they are closing. And this is just to bring all of them back, whatever's remaining in those accounts, back into the central location, which can be distributed later with board approval. So I'm asking for you to approve capital resolution number C-21.07.
I'll make the motion. The Board of County Commissioners approve capital budget resolution C-21.07 to transfer funds to close out the community self-help projects.
Okay, I got a motion second. Any further discussion on this? Seeing here none, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay, let's go on to the next.
Okay, operating budget resolution O-21.03. During the budget deliberations in the proposed session, we had discussed having to do an IT closet at North Carroll High School. And the desire was to have that work done prior to settling on the sale of that property. So this is a transfer from the reserve for contingency to facilities and to IT to accommodate that request. 65,420 would go to technology services to fund the fiber relocation, cabling, switches, access points, and then approximately $10,000 is needed for facilities to do HVAC cooling and wall construction. So I request that you approve resolution number O-21.03.
Okay.
I move the Board of County Commissioners approve operating budget resolutions O-21-03 to transfer funds from the reserve for contingency to technology services facilities to install a technology closet at North Carroll High School.
Second.
I got a motion second. Any further discussion? Seeing here none, all in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Okay, 5-0. Thank you so much. Jen
Thank
and
you.
Deb. Okay. Bear with me. Chris, do we have any public comment at this time?
Yes, sir. It appears we do have one caller left online waiting. I'm unmuting them now. Caller, if you could please identify yourself. You'll have 3 minutes to make public comment.
Hi, yes, good morning, Commissioners of Carroll County. What I'm going to discuss today, while it seems almost counterproductive to what was presented earlier in the meeting, it is not meant to be. I have the utmost respect for all that serve the public. I'm also a public servant, and I take my oath to serve and protect the public very seriously. I'm a strong advocate for ensuring that the government is being ethically and fiscally responsible, while making sure that the public is treated with dignity and respect, and taxpayer funding is being used correctly. Listening to the presentation on the Sheriff's Department training simulator purchase and need for additional training does give me some encouragement that what happened to me will hopefully not happen to others. However, that does not take away what happened to me and my child. I've been a homeowning resident of Carroll County, Maryland for over 20 years. I'm a divorced single parent with a preteen child who is my life and soul. I would like to share with all a very disturbing incident I had with the Carroll County Sheriff's Department and the Commissioner of Court for Carroll County. This experience brought to light unsettling issues and concerns that I'm now hoping to share. I respectfully ask that all allow me to speak to these issues and concerns before anyone else speaks. Okay, since I only have 3 minutes, I'm actually going to just move forward with my concerns. So concern number one, officers using entrapment-like actions to produce arrests and citations in order to procure continued budget or meet quotas for the Sheriff's Department. So many areas of Carroll County, there's low crime and not too many opportunities for officers to issue citations or arrests. The lack of these opportunities, in my belief, promotes an environment where officers watch certain establishments and or find a reason to pull someone over so that they can then issue them another reason for a citation or arrest them. I recently had an experience where this happened to me. Again, it's only 3 minutes. I'm going to condense it. However, I was just out. I put my son to bed. I went out, supposed to be home in 45 minutes. I dropped off a friend. I picked up some paperwork from a restaurant down the street, pulled out of the parking lot. Within 2 minutes from pulling out of the parking lot, I was pulled over. I explained to them I did not have a license. I had an appointment with the MVA in a couple of weeks because due to the pandemic and limited in-person availability, I had a hard time getting an appointment. The officers then came back and told me that I had a suspended license, which then I agreed that I had told them that I had an appointment with the MVA, that my license was not actually suspended. And I have more information on that if needed. At this point in time, they said it was too bad. I was getting citations for traffic violations and they were impounding my vehicle. I told them I couldn't afford to have my car impounded. I should not be held at fault since we're in a pandemic. Makes it extremely hard to get into MVA to handle traffic issues, and I did not agree with what they were doing. Because I would not accept the citations, I was then arrested and taken to the detention center. My car was also towed before I'd even left to go to the detention center. Concern 2, not equipping patrol vehicles with dashboard cameras, and again, I'll condense this. However, upon my arrest, I asked if there was dashboard cameras and was told no. At this point in this day and age, based on the low cost and easily accessible technology, there's no reason all police vehicles in Carroll County do not have this available. And then the third is, which is the most disturbing piece, is the violation of my rights and indefensible treatment due to exercising my right. I was committed for 16 hours from 11:30 p.m. until 3:30 p.m. the next day. About 2 hours after my arrest, I had a video hearing with the commissioner of court. His gentleman said his name was Commissioner Reese. I had just received the police report prior to the hearing. I was very upset to see some false information on there. I tried to explain this to Commissioner Reese. He was extremely annoyed with me right away, told me to let him speak first. I said, okay. He went through the charges. When I then said I didn't agree with the charges and started to explain why, he said he didn't want to hear anything I had to say. Immediately said the hearing. I'm sorry. I immediately said the hearing's over and hung up the video call. I was then committed due to the issue. It was told by everyone many times throughout my stay for 16 hours. I should have kept my mouth shut. I was very upset. I had a young child who was home alone, asleep. I told them he had to be up for school. I had to handle the 6:30. If he's by himself, something happens to him, no one would be able to forgive themselves. They actually, because I did not put in on the orange jump sheet they gave me, they put me in what they called a chair, which is a chair with restraints, completely all over the chair. They put me in that chair in a cell for 4 hours, restrained. I asked numerous times, why exactly was this more important than making sure that my child was not in danger, and where the welfare of my child was not more important than me being there. And I was told, again, it was because I would not keep my mouth shut. Otherwise, it would not be happening to me. And since I do not have much more time, I want to thank you for allowing me this forum and opportunity to tell my story to the board. I know that as the elected Board of Commissioners for Carroll County, Maryland, you are looking out for all of the best interests in Carroll County, including residents, visitors, and employees, and will promptly address my issues and concerns.
Yes, ma'am. And we did receive, all commissioners received your comments that you just also shared with us. For the record, can you share with us your name?
It's O'Brien, O-B-R-I-E-N.
Okay, thank you very much, Ms. O'Brien.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Okay, Chris, are there any further public comments?
There does not appear to be any more public callers on the line today.
Okay, thank you. We could take down the timer. Anything for open admin? Roberta, I know you have a couple things, or at least the one.
Well, so discussed, we have 40 characters on the tax bills that want to use to encourage folks to get vaccinated, and what the health department and our team here have come up with, and just want your blessing before we go forward with it. They need to be printed tomorrow, so we don't have a lot of time. It'll be 2 lines. It'll say, need your COVID-19 vaccine with a question mark, register or walk in, colon, and then it says the Carroll County Health Department .md.gov, Maryland, cchd.maryland.gov website. Should have just read it rather than trying to abbreviate it. Is everyone okay? Basically, it's like, need your COVID-19 vaccine, register or walk in, and then tell people where to go.
Did you
And
use
the
all
website's on there.
That's the website.
Yeah.
We
Yeah.
pretty much use all
Did
the
you
characters.
use them all? Because it would have been nice to put their phone number on there.
Oh, no, that's using them all.
Okay.
It's only 40.
Because a lot of folks in my area don't have internet.
Well, do you think it's more valuable to put the phone number or the website?
I don't know. I mean, I go through this every time we do something like this. It's just expected that people have internet. 20% of my district doesn't.
So, yeah, but I mean,
So you're telling people to go to a website that they can't go to.
Well, wouldn't you think most of them have at least a cell phone?
I don't know. Do they have internet on their cell phone? I don't know. I talk to people that can't get a signal with their cell phone. I mean, I know you all are used to having all the amenities. That's wonderful for you. But I've got a lot of folks in my district that do not.
so we think it's a good idea to put this on the bill. I mean, you definitely, because you're the one who brought it up. I think it is a great idea. The question is, do we put a phone number or a website because we're limited in characters? I don't want to say I'm agnostic to it. I just want to get another way to get it out to the community. And whatever we can do, wherever we believe that community should be targeted, should then dictate whether we use numbers or a website. And
So you're talking about 10 more characters to put a
we're
phone number
limited
on
on
there.
40.
I don't know. Maybe
I know.
cut down on need a COVID, instead of making a question, make it, COVID vaccine,
Okay.
and put the website and the phone number.
Yeah.
Plus there's a lot of older folks that really pay attention to those
Yeah.
tax bills.
Yeah.
And a lot of them don't use or know how to go to websites.
Mm-hmm.
It's not just about not having a signal or a internet. It's about these folks that 84 and 85-year-old folks, you ask them to go to a website and they're like, what? So I think it's important to list a phone number somehow.
So what's the first line?
Need your COVID-19 vaccine.
So say need COVID vaccine.
Need a COVID vaccine.
Need,
Then the website
right.
and the phone
And
number.
that's a really good
Or
point.
just make it COVID vaccine and put the website and the phone number.
Well, I think you can put need a COVID vaccine because it would all fit it there.
Okay.
And
Well,
then-
Need,
Yeah.
okay.
I don't know. I think it's
COVID
important to have, I don't want to weigh one over the other. I
Right.
think it's important to get both somehow.
Okay.
We'll work on it. Okay, but as long as if we add the phone number,
Yep.
Yeah, I'm
everyone's
good
okay
as
with
long as
that
we give
basic
them-
idea.
Yes,
Okay.
because
And
it's
thank
a
you,
lot
Commissioner
easier.
Frazier. for a lot of people.
It was either that or a picture of Commissioner Frazier. So we decided to go with this. Yeah.
It was a toss up.
It was a toss up. It was.
10 seconds.
No, but good point. Not the 10 seconds, but the phone number. Anything else from open admin? I just want to again share my appreciation in the development, the budget development process, getting the community out there as we've shared, and the importance of transparency, and we're doing our best in doing that. Once it's all done, we'll be focusing on executing the budget and the laws of this county. And as always, we're always available to the community, whether it's on the phone, on an email. You can find us pretty easily, going to our website. And again, appreciate it, Chris Swam, for all that you're doing and keeping that updated. I need an approval of the minutes from May 6th on public security.
I move to approve the budgets on May 6th on public security.
What'd you say, Commissioner?
The
Williams?
minutes.
Minutes.
Minutes, what did I say?
You said the budgets.
Oh,
I
okay.
thought.
I'm saying.
Closed minutes of May 6th. Okay, I got a motion, I think. on that,
Second.
And I got a second. Any comments? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay. Going through agendas. Wow. Towards the end of May. May 17th, we have nothing. On May 18th, we have Annabon Basu will be with the Chamber of Commerce. Currently, we have Commissioner Weaver, Wance, and myself attending. Planning and Zoning Commission meeting with Commissioner Wance. I take it Dan Huff will be leaving that board.
Yeah, as a
hasn't
matter of
left
fact,
yet.
he's gonna, the way that Tim, you got involved in that little discussion, but the way it's gonna work is he's gonna sign on that day and then abruptly resign. So we are gonna have an opening on
Yeah.
there.
Okay.
We're gonna have to address that.
We do have one application.
Do we?
Yes, we do.
Okay, good. Okay.
And then at 12 p.m. That afternoon, Springboard Community Services groundbreaking ceremony. Commissioner Wance, Frazier, and I will all be attending. We will go into open session at 1 p.m. to have a work session on our budget. At 2 p.m., if available, Commissioner Weaver and I will be attending the Veterans Advisory Council meeting. On Wednesday, the 19th, it is First Responders Appreciation Day, and throughout the county, Commissioner Wance and I will be participating in that. I think delivering food and to different stations. There will be a Carroll County Community Board meeting where Commissioner Wance will be attending at 4 p.m. and at 4:30, the drug court treatment graduation, where Commissioner Weaver, Frazier, and I will be attending over at Carroll Community College. On Thursday, we will have open session at 9 a.m. We will talk about Industrial 1 text amendment. We will talk about a housing bond allocation from Department of Citizen Services, or actually it's a transfer of funds for housing bond allocation. Talk about approving and accepting coronavirus state and local fiscal recovery fund awards from Mr. Zaleski. We will, there'll be a request to approve an exercise option to purchase the Escott Albin and Joyce Albin property in the Critical Farms program. We'll talk about our state directives update. Mr. Singer from Health Department, either him or Maggie will be coming. Then we'll go into open admin. Thursday.
That
Yeah,
drug court
please.
graduation,
Yep.
I don't think it's at the college.
Isn't it?
It's at the courthouse annex in the courtyard outside.
Oh, it's not at the amphitheater?
No,
Oh.
I don't think so.
It's
You might just
outdoors.
you might want to check it.
Okay.
I think they're doing it
Yeah, I
right
know
over
it's
here.
outdoors. I thought it was.
It's right behind the.
Oh,
yeah.
it's busy.
Yeah,
Okay.
make sure you.
Yeah, but if we make sure we get the location. Thanks. And then at 12 p.m., the Chamber of Commerce will have a member meeting with Dr. Roger Case and Julia Jackson, and Commissioner Frazier will be attending that.
That's the farewell for him, isn't it?
Yes, and
Dennis?
introducing
Roger
the
Casey.
next one, right?
Yeah.
Got it.
Okay.
We will go into open session at 1 p.m. A second work session for adopting the budget, if necessary.
If necessary.
And then at 2 p.m., Magic Showcase. Magic, which is the nonprofit here in Westminster, will have a showcase on autonomous vehicles and a ribbon cutting. And Commissioner Frazier and I will be attending that.
Is that what that is? I thought David Copperfield was coming down. I'm just kidding.
There still is a Bengal tiger loose in Florida somewhere. We know that. So on Friday, there's nothing. On Saturday, we have the Dream Big Union Bridge Duck Derby in all preparations, staying safe. Commissioner Boucher will be attending that with ducks that will be masked.
I know you probably can't see this on camera. I wish we could get a close up, but here is the duck with its mask on, Boucher.
So
I love it.
I'm sure you do.
And however, I think we're going to be good to go without masks in open activities for the duck derby. Accordance
That's
with
right.
the,
Outside, right.
outside,
But the
in
duck,
accordance with the governor, but the duck will protect himself.
the duck is still very concerned.
There were a lot of ducks next to each other.
But I am saying himself. I'm not sure if it's a herself or himself.
It could
Okay.
be a small duck, a baby duck, and a small and a large. Never mind.
I will be giving a podcast on Sunday, and it'll be an award ceremony that Commissioner Boucher will be attending over at Crimgold Park for the Youth Fishing Derby. On May 24th, nothing. On Tuesday, the 25th, we have an open session at 1 p.m. where we will be adopting our budget. It should be a very short session. On Wednesday, May 26th, but a very important session. May 26th, Commission on Aging and Disabilities, Commissioner Wentz will be attending. On Thursday, May 27th, we have open session starting at 9. A decision will be made on the water and sewer spring amendment. As we heard this morning, or listened to this morning, we have a tentative adoption for the budget if necessary. And what's that? Yeah, if things have to get pushed. And that will be it for the rest of that week. And the May 30th, looking forward to hearing Commissioner Wance's podcast.
That'll actually be Memorial Day. And
will be
what I'd
Memorial
like
Day.
to do on that one, just to give you a heads up, Ed, I think you and I should tag team that one.
Sure, that sounds good.
But they want to switch with you on that one.
Okay, well,
I have one done for Memorial Day. We videoed.
you did?
I was going to say we can go
All right,
to
well,
your
that's-
summer house.
Okay, that's fine. But one of you two guys,
Okay.
I mean, if one of you two wants to take it, I'll give that one up because
We'll just switch. We don't give them up.
no, I said give it up.
I know how this
I know this
works.
plexiglass, sometimes it bounces off. Give it up. That's what I said, Weaver.
Okay.
But making sure, I've done with you before. And
Hold on a second. We're not quite done.
Secret swamps.
I need a motion to go into closed for legal advice and then land acquisition, and then a motion to adjourn after that.
Make a motion to go into close for legal advice and a motion to go into close for land acquisition as well.
Okay, got a motion and second to go into closed for legal advice and land acquisition. Conversation, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, and then I need a motion to adjourn after that.
Move to adjourn after closed session.
Second.
Okay, I got a motion and a second. Any comments? All in favor?
Aye.
4-1.